Hi, my name is Haley Comet, and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today, all things North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, transit 2023 to 2025. What this transit is bringing to the surface for all of us collectively, as well as for your chart, for your world, for your universe. We are being guided during this transit to prioritize instincts, individuality, advocacy, while shedding, releasing, and surrendering any sort of people-pleasing tendencies, codependent tendencies, any sort of attachment to things always being pretty and polished and peaceful and put together. During this transit, we will be guided to take a stand for ourselves, to reconnect with ourselves, right? The most raw expression of who it is that we are, and follow that as we fearlessly move into the Aries portion of our chart that feels incompatible with our own individuality, with our own rawest truth. And again, no fear. When we talk about nodes and thus eclipses, this is fated, karmic events. How it is that we are taking ourselves out of our comfort zone, as well as releasing tendencies within our life that maybe are comfortable, right? But are not facilitating and guiding our greatest growth. And when we talk about the nodes, essentially this means that the eclipses will start to land in different signs and thus bring to the surface different themes within our world. So the nodes technically shift July 17th, 2023, and they will stay North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra until January 11th, 2025. I wanted to get this video out early simply because even though the nodes will not have officially shifted, we will get a little foreshadow of what this axis could have in store, as we do have an Aries solar eclipse in April 2023. And I guess the nodes just want to join the party with all of the other planetary shifts that we are having in 2023. The nodes decided to shift, change, and rearrange, bring to the surface a new axis, really accentuating the differences between this axis and really asking us, where have these themes of self versus other, of standing up for ourselves versus prioritizing peace, how has that gotten out of whack? And how is it that we can continue to anchor ourselves and follow that resounding motto through this transit, to thine own self be true? And a key theme of this North Node in Aries transit is this energy of prioritizing self, your most raw desires, right? And living your life rather than waiting on somebody else to give it to you. So if you are someone where you sort of wait on buying yourself nice things that you like or anything of that nature, waiting on someone else to give it to yourself, I empower you during this transit, take the initiative. Follow your desires, buy it for yourself. You don't need to wait on anybody else to give you the life that you want. And if you're looking for a high quality gift for yourself, I deeply recommend Ana Luisa, who is the sponsor of this video. Ana Luisa is a high quality, sustainable jewelry brand. They are completely carbon neutral. So if you are someone who prioritizes sustainability and beauty, I'm telling you, these pieces are for you. And I adore how many celestial cosmic pieces they have on their website. They have sleek classic looks, as well as if you're like me and love some celestial magic. They have astrology necklaces if you want to rock your sign, as well as the collection that I'm obsessed with, the personality pendants collection. So I'm currently wearing the light personality pendant, which I feel so describes who it is that I am and what it is that I aim to do. That was one of my guiding missions as it relates to this YouTube channel, as well as just to my work as an astrology overall, is to be that lighthouse, is to be a light for other individuals, sharing the time-honored study of astrology, but ensuring that I do so in a way that is enlightening, empowering. And this personality pendant reminds me and guides me back to that central guiding mission. And in addition to the light that I am wearing, they also have spirit, water, air, fire, earth, so that you can pick 14K carat gold coin pendant that best describes you. And I think a really cool way that you could utilize these pendants is allowing it to be a reflection of your chart. So let's say you are someone who has a ton of earth element within your chart. Perhaps having the pretty earth pendant returns you back to your chart and its mission. Or the other way that I would encourage you to utilize it, if you know that your chart is detriment in a certain element. Again, us as humans, we are always striving to find balance within our life. So if you know I don't have any air within my chart, perhaps purchasing the air personality pendant from Ana Luisa will help return you to finding that balance of encouraging more air into your life. I absolutely love the personality pendants as well as all the other jewelry. The personality pendants are 14K carat gold coin, and the designs are hand drawn. And I'm telling you, the level of detail that they add at Ana Luisa, you feel when you put on, I'm telling you, it made me feel so classy and so chic putting on these really, really lovely pieces that just add a little bit more sparkle into my world. They have jewelry ranging across all sorts of budgets. It's high quality and affordable in price. So if you want to take advantage of this empowering initiative, North Node and Aries Transit, and buy yourself some jewelry, make sure to check out the link in my description as well as in the pinned comment and use code HaleyComet20. So make sure to take a look. See which catches your fancy. I'm telling you, you deserve it, and it's so lovely to have these pieces, especially when we embed it with this extra meaning around what is it that we came here to do, around your spiritual beliefs, around your guiding principles, anything of that nature. Or if you just think it's pretty, you could just make it like that too. I'm just a Pisces, so I always assign meaning to everything. So thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring. Make sure to go check it out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into North Node and Aries, South Node and Libra collective themes. The North Node will enter Aries and the South Node will enter Libra July 17th of 2023, where they will stay until January 11th of 2025. When the nodes move, that means we start to experience eclipses in a different axis, right? In different signs. However, the eclipses that feature this axis won't neatly be fitting into that 1.5 year long transit. There are times, like for example, this year, the North Node doesn't enter Aries until July, but we do have an Aries solar eclipse come springtime, fall time if you're in the southern hemisphere. And it's just because of the proximity of the North Node to the new moon or full moon that it occurs. So I just wanted to mention that even though this is the exact period of time in which the North Node and South Node technically be in these signs, we will have eclipses outside that can sort of foreshadow as well as wrap up some of these themes that we'll be chatting about. So the North Node and the South Node move as one, and essentially it is considered that the North Node signifies where it is that we are experiencing gain, growth, increase, right? For better and for worse. It can be a very ravenous, excessive energy, and South Node can be a sector of where it is that we are experiencing decrease or loss. And again, if any Libras are listening, you're like, oh my gosh, South Node, my sign, that sounds scary. I'm not saying that you are going to lose anything or that you are going to lose yourself. Again, we'll take it sign by sign, house by house in a moment, but let's firstly get familiar with this axis and what it is that it signifies and what can come to the surface. So with North Node, gain, right? And with North Node Aries, we gain to grow through these Aries principles: advocacy, initiation, going out and getting what it is that we want without waiting on approval from others, trusting our own instincts, allowing our instincts to be louder than the opinions of others, standing up for ourselves, daring to go our own way, daring to lead, daring to allow ourselves to be visible, daring ourselves to be controversial, being fearless, facing our fears. These all can come to the surface while North Node is in Aries. So there can be a call within your life to get back to your raw individuality outside of being this person's sister and this person's friend and this person's mom, like getting back to who it is that you are as an individual. It's not to say all of your relationships will fall apart, but it mostly talks about this energy around reconnecting with yourself, re-meeting yourself, allowing yourself to defrost whatever false self you felt like you've had to be for other people to like you. And thus, really a huge part of this transit is just not caring that much if you have approval from those around you. Understanding that like a life that is not authentic is one that can feel deeply uncomfortable. Like where we're wearing a sweater that doesn't fit. It's just like, oh my gosh. And with North Node Aries, there's a big call for all of us collectively to disrupt the role of what we felt like we had to be to have other people like us, to have approval. And with North Node Aries, it's getting back to our rawness and not really necessarily worrying what people have to say about it, as well as allowing ourselves to take up space, to go after what it is that we want. It's really been in the surface where in our life we have been complacent, right? Where we have been waiting on other people or indecisive, and challenging us to follow our gut instincts, right? Challenging ourselves to initiate, challenging ourselves to almost like grab life by the horns rather than just waiting on someone to give us the life that we want. With North Node Aries, there is a call for independence, okay? And to really get comfortable being on your own and also seeking the validation from yourself. And so with North Node Aries, we're being asked, what would your life look like if you lived it authentically? What would your life look like if you weren't scared about ruffling little feathers, if you were in alignment with the person that you are, with the integrity that you have? What would it look like if you went out and made things happen for yourself rather than waiting on them to happen to you? What would it look like? And with South Node Libra, a common concern I've got from individuals just with South Node Libra and leaving Libra bring the sign of relationships, like, oh my gosh, is my relationship going to fall apart during this influence? Firstly, no, absolutely not. But I will say the relationships that will fall apart are any relationships that make you be a different person in order for their survival. Okay, so if you have to fake the funk, if you have to pretend to be someone that you're not in order for that relationship to function, those are the relationships that are going to fall apart. Because that small whisper within you that's like, this isn't you, this isn't you. During North Node Aries, that whisper can be quite deafening around, it's time to live our life for ourselves. And again, friendships, community, love in our life. These are all important tenets, but it's more so asking, do we feel safe to be our own authentic self within our connection? Can our connection handle the authentic self that we are, as well as who it is that we are evolving into? So I will say the only relationships that are really on unsteady footing during this territory are any where people are really giving up or deeply disconnected with their own individuality and sort of putting on a mask or faking to be someone that they're not for that relationship survival. And there will be a less emphasis on relationships. And like I said, we were built for love, we were built for connection. It's not that we won't connect during this influence, but I think with South Node Libra, there's going to be less emphasis upon society really pressuring people like you need to get married. Your life doesn't amount to much if you're not married in a relationship or anything of that nature. I just think with North Node Aries, and as well as during this transit, it'll be co-present with Pluto and Aquarius. I just believe that it's going to be sort of a shift around contemplating new ways of relating as well as new ways of identifying ourselves. Like being able to shift into a new era where it's like, maybe for me, that's not what I put the most emphasis on, right? That's not what success necessarily looks like to me. Like if it happens, and that's fine. Like I think with North Node Aries, South Node Libra, there will be less pressure or less emphasis around your life is meaningless if you don't get married, or your life is meaningless if you don't have a partner. With North Node Aries, it's just like this embracing around the fire and the passion around just being unapologetically yourself, right? So not everybody will be single during this transit, but there will be a call to kind of figure out who it is that you are outside of the connection. And if you're in the right connection, that connection will celebrate the person that you are, right? So if you are someone where your connection isn't necessarily unhealthy, but you do feel like you've lost touch with yourself, like North Node Aries is that divine call from the cosmos around reconnect with yourself, establish your preferences, do things that take you out of your comfort zone, do things that prioritize you, reconnect with aspects of you that you could have lost touch with. It's still within you, right? And with South Node Libra, it's just this energy around only being known as the us, only being known as this person's friend, and like getting back to who it is that you are. And with South Node Libra, I also believe there will be a call around less of focus or emphasis upon appearance, things that need to look a particular way. Like I think with South Node Libra, it can be this shedding or this collective disinterest around relationships that just look good on Instagram, right? Or relationships that you're deeply unhappy with, but your guys' friendship groups are so intertwined. You're like, I'm not happy in this relationship, but it's just easier. It's just easier to keep up appearances, even if we are, sleeping in different bedrooms. It's just easier. Even though internally, I know this isn't right. It's just easier. It's just easier. With South Node Libra, there is a shedding of living in a life that may be pretty, maybe polished. You guys might take great pictures on Instagram, but with North Node Aries, it's like prioritizing your own raw expression. It's prioritizing yourself again outside of just things being pretty and polished. Now, when we talk about this axis of Aries and Libra, I call it the instinct versus indecision. With North Node in Aries, we are being guided to follow our gut instincts. And Aries is very raw, it's very physical. So just even observing during this transit where it is that you feel that heck yes and where it is that you feel that heck no, right? Because what the South Node in Libra is sort of bringing to the surface is where it is we can have analysis paralysis or endlessly going back and forth around, I could do this or I could do this. What do you think makes sense? What's logical to you? Almost allowing your ideas to get swallowed up by everybody else's opinions. Whereas North Node Aries is chiseling this muscle around, to thine own self be true. This feels good to me. I'm going to move in the direction of what feels good. And also just like attuning to that raw connection to your body. Like I'm telling you, during this transit, if it's not a heck yes, it is a heck no. And with North Node Aries, it's honoring your heck yes and your heck no and not being too concerned what other people have to say about it. Observing, how does your tummy feel when someone invites you to that party, right? How do you feel when you contemplate working at this new company? What comes to the surface within your body, right? And that could be trying to tell you something. And with South Node Libra, we might find during this influence that we're less inclined around needing other people to approve of our ideas and what it is that we do in order to get their approval. And with the North Node, it's like we're simply less inclined to want to get the approval from others and following your instincts around, okay, I know they're going to be upset, but it just feels off, it just feels wrong, and trusting your gut instincts, okay? With North Node Aries, a shadow side absolutely can be impulsiveness, right? But with North Node Aries, if you're someone who just gets stuck in the indecision around, I could do this or I could do this, but this person says I should do this, and this person thinks I should live my life like this transit is going to be really helpful for you to be able to chisel that muscle around, what is it that I want? What is it that I feel drawn towards? As well as initiating, right, on those ideas. Like with North Node Aries, a lot of us are being guided to start something, to lead something, to initiate something. And with North Node Aries, it's trailblazer energy, right? It's being able to follow our gut instincts around, I think this will be successful, I'm gonna follow my instincts. Because with South Node Libra, you know, have you ever felt that experience where you waited too long, like you had this idea and you're like, I don't know, can I do it, can I not? Then somebody else does that exact idea and you're like, what the heck? Like obviously with North Node Aries, we don't have the time, bandwidth, nor passion to start on everything. But if you're waiting for that push around start that business, but just waiting for the people to be like, it's a great idea, it's a great idea, it's a great idea. North Node Aries is going to allow you to tune into the voice of what it is that you feel. And if it's a good idea, that's enough, right? To start something. Oftentimes with South Node Libra, like I'm sure loved ones love us, but oftentimes we see things from our own perspective. So they might not have the vision that you do for what it is that you initiate. So if you pitch it to somebody and someone dear to you and they're like, I don't know, would that be successful? I don't know if I would buy it. Like certainly market research is a part of starting a business, but if there are people within your immediate circle where it's like you're hesitating because they're like, they might think it's weird, they don't think it's a good idea. Like my love, with this North Node Aries, this is your life. You are the one who has to lie down, not to get morbid on you guys. Maybe it's because North Node Aries transits my 8th house, but you're the one who's gonna have to lie down in that coffin one day. So you need to live the life the way that you want to, okay? And with South Node Libra, North Node Aries, it's allowing the voice of your own intuition, your own instincts to be louder than other people's opinions. The shadow side of that, as I highlighted, is impulsiveness. We could find during North Node in Aries, people are more reactive, right? There can be more of a temper. There can be people who are more likely to fight. Things can feel more volatile. With this sort of me first mentality of the Aries energy, we can find that whether it's on the highway, at work, people are mostly concerned around, well, what about me? What about my needs? Or even being quite impatient, feeling like everything needs to happen yesterday. And with North Node Aries, certainly this will get the ball rolling. I mean, North Node Aries likes everything fast, so things during this time can go very fast. It's important with North Node. It's the dragon's head. It's ravenous. So while we should lean into these opportunities around where it is that we can advocate for ourselves, where it is that we can initiate on our ideas and on our instincts, being mindful of the shadow side of an abundance of Aries energy, which is going too fast and glossing over mistakes, which is being reckless, which is being dangerous, being selfish. Because when we talk about the nodes, Ideally, we are looking for a balance, okay? So shedding the shadow side of the South Node Libra, but also appreciating some Libran qualities, right? Like just because we're following our own instincts doesn't mean we need to step on everybody's toes, right? Just because we are moving towards this, fiery Mars energy of initiation doesn't mean that we shouldn't like honor being able to work with other people, being able to find peace when necessary. So I just want you to keep your eye on that Aries impulsiveness, right? Feeling like you need to make these major decisions right away. Like again, you'll feel when it's right. Okay, your body will tell you when it's right. You will know when it's time. And allowing yourself to chisel your instincts and your intuition will let you know when to go. So if you are feeling this energy, this urgency around gotta do it now, or like an abundance of competitiveness, like again, strive to find balance. Like with the South Node Libra, I just feel that for a lot of us, there's going to be, because it's South Node, which is lost, there's not going to be as much balance. Like there could be this new idea that you're creating or something that you're birthing where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, and then like burning yourself out. Again, aim for a balance in this axis when you can, balancing out that Aries initiation with some Libra logic, thoughtfulness, and balance when appropriate. Balancing out that impulsiveness, let's just jump in and figure out the details later, taking a moment to really just check in before jumping in head first. Keep in mind, North Node Aries, we are being guided to be fearless, to jump in head first, but you want to make sure you jump in head first to the right thing. You don't want to change your whole life for something that was just like a flash in the pan, right? And it's really important to chisel your instincts so that you know which direction to go into, which ones are the right ones that you're like, yes, this, and which ones are just overly reckless, overly dangerous, right? Now, I want to talk about this concept of sacred rage, okay? And I find it fascinating because we're getting out of this axis where we had North Node in Taurus and South Node in Scorpio. So we had North Node in a Venus ruled sign and South Node in a Mars ruled sign. Now, during this transit for the next year and a half, we have North Node in a Mars ruled sign and South Node in a Venus ruled sign. And so we are being asked to chisel and channel our Mars, which speaks to a lot of themes that we've talked about: initiation, following our instincts, advocating for ourselves, our own needs, re-meeting ourselves, right, outside of who it is that we are for others. With Mars, Mars is our anger. And a lot of people during this transit are going to allow their anger to defrost. Okay, and what I mean by that is oftentimes our anger can be frozen. South Node Libra deeply speaks to social niceties, right? It's not, it's not polite to be mad. Like, it's just more important to keep the peace. Let's just make sure everybody gets along. Don't make a big deal. Don't make it a big deal. And oftentimes, many of us have learned to suppress our anger, suppress our rage. Put on a smile. Don't let them see that you are angry. So much so that we can demonize anger. We can feel that anger is something that always needs to be destructive and mean. Anger does not need to be destructive and mean. And we don't have to force ourselves not to be angry, right? We think of angry and we think of someone who's yelling and breaking things. There is a constructive way to deal with anger, and that's really important to chisel with this North Node Aries. Sacred rage, okay, is the thought that I want to anchor in. Anger is not a bad thing. Anger can be fuel, right? It's not a coincidence that the planet of anger and the planet of motivation are the same, that Mars. It's just important, like I was saying with the initiation, it's important that we're angry about the right stuff, right? So if you are someone where you feel like, well, a perfect relationship is when we never fight, right? You will learn during this transit that healthy relationships do have conflict. It's about how you deal with it, right? And if there are certain issues and annoyances within your relationship that you've just suppressed, keep a smile on, North Node Aries is going to empower you to deal with them in a little bit more of a direct manner, being a little bit more forthright about what it is that you are feeling, and allowing yourself the space and bandwidth to understand that those emotions are okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay. A lot of us with this South Node Libra energy are going to melt away this energy that we always need to just put on a happy face. It's fine. Or thinking that relationships are when two people always get along. Like with North Node Aries, it's about being able to assert yourself and advocate for yourself and understanding conflict can be constructive. It's about how you deal with it. Again, the shadow side of this is that people can be more volatile, more explosive, more violent even, to really get dramatic with it. With North Node Aries though, it doesn't need to go there. Like when you feel that anger, it doesn't need to have that sort of expression. It does demand an expression, right? Oftentimes, like when it comes to anger, like allowing yourself to put it into a really intense workout or scream in your car, it just wants to go somewhere, right? It just wants to go somewhere. And when you hold on and hold on and you hold on, like that is where that false self energy that I was chatting with you about comes from. That is why we get in these relationships when we are like riddled with resentment, you know, around this is not who I am. Like who it is that I am is suffocated behind all of the issues and all of the problems that I don't feel comfortable vocalizing. Anger and conflict within a connection is not a bad thing, okay? And it's oftentimes a lot of us have had experiences with people who do have really bad tempers and can really wield it horribly, right? Like this is a North Node Aries. Like I said, we can have this abundance of energy around anger and rage. And if anybody is struggling with that, like definitely anger management or something of that nature is helpful, because with North Node Aries, we are learning how to work with our anger, how to handle it in a more productive way, and how it is that it can be constructive, how it can launch our relationship forward. Has anybody ever had that where you don't vocalize something in a connection, then finally you say it, and then the problem is able to move forward because you were honest and direct? And like with North Node Aries, we're being more honest. With South Node Libra, you know, if you're a Libra out there, I'm not coming for you, but as an archetype. But oftentimes, because Libra so deeply values harmony, they can feel like, well, for me to have the harmony that I crave within a relationship, I'm just gonna bite my tongue on this. I'm just gonna bite my tongue on this. North Node Aries is really empowering us to be direct. Maybe sometimes the thing that we say comes out a little spiky. Sometimes it's a little too honest, but when we are honest, when we are direct, that gives us the bandwidth and the opportunity to be able to move forward. And so I keep saying this theme of sacred rage because, you know, with South Node Libra, we do want to find a balance because Libra governs all of these beautiful things, fairness and justice, right? Getting mad about the right things, getting mad about the causes that you're passionate about, getting mad about the injustices within the world, right? Sticking up for them. And so finding that balance here about, yes, knowing that it's not a bad thing. We don't need to demonize our anger and our rage. We just need to put it towards the right things and have more constructive ways for how it is that it comes out of our body. Again, oftentimes it wants an expression. It doesn't need to be destructive. I do think some people may yield it destructively during this influence. We could just notice that people are more angry during this transit. But again, not demonizing it within yourself, right? Just knowing that anger is fuel, emotions are fuel. What it is that you do with that fuel is what matters. Having those emotions, even if they're low vibe, what have you, isn't negative. It's just what it is that you do with those emotions that matters. And something I found very interesting. So I want us to consider the last times that the nodes were in Aries and in Libra, because sometimes it's helpful to look back at past experiences to understand how this particular transit will manifest. And as expected, when you go back, there is a lot of wars. There is a lot of conflicts. Again, I'm not inciting any fear. I'm not saying it'll go to there. Like I said, with North Node Aries, there can be an energy around wanting to defend oneself, advocate for oneself, so on and so forth. So if we look at the last few times that the North Node was in Aries and the South Node was in Libra, Vietnam War occurred largely while North Node was in Aries, 6 Days War, Iraq War. Again, it doesn't need to get to that place, and I'm not saying it will. With North Node, like if we think about the axis of Aries and Libra, it's war versus peace, right? And again, there can be shadow sides to that energy of peace, like I talked about within relationships, like feeling just got to keep the peace, just got to keep the peace. It's fine. What it is that I feel is fine. This disrespect of my boundaries is fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Right. But also the North Node of Aries, an abundance of war and conflict isn't ideal either. And just with this North Node of Aries, it is asking for us to advocate, right, for ourselves, for the causes that we hold dear, for autonomy, for whatever it is, like our own selves, our own bodies, things of that nature. And with South Node Libra, people might be a little less apt to keep the peace, whether we observe that within worldwide politics, whether we observe that within our world. With North Node Aries, there is this cosmic push around advocacy. And again, you can advocate in a way that doesn't have to go towards violence and towards these extreme ends. But I do think when we talk about North Node, it can easily get out of whack. It can easily go overboard. So we need to see how we can constructively play with this Aries archetype, what it is that we feel called to stand up for, how it is that we feel called to stand up for ourselves, right? But also being mindful in the energy of North Node Aries is that we can needlessly incite conflicts and battles and things of that nature, whether it's like within our lives or overall. That's just a theme that I wanted to note here. I also want to highlight this paradox between the body and the mind, because South Node Libra is deeply in the mind. Like Libra is one of the most intelligent signs, right? It's very deeply smart. And it's not saying with South Node Libra we're all going to be less intelligent or anything of that nature, but it is very mental, right? It's very in our minds, whereas North Node Aries is very in our body. And so with North Node Aries, I do feel there might be some talk around just body autonomy, things of that nature. With North Node Aries, it highlights standing up for ourselves, right? Standing up for our bodies, standing up for our rights, advocating for ourselves, things of that nature. With South Node Libra, it's like keeping the peace, right? Not wanting to make a stir. And with North Node Aries, it's like, no, that's not okay. And I keep saying this theme body because I just believe that's going to come to the surface. More discussions around body autonomy, around our rights to our own physical body, standing up or putting our bodies in the pathway around what it is that we feel called to stand up for or stick up for, things of that nature. With North Node Aries, it's just very raw, physical energy, and it's very independent. So I think there's going to be a drive collectively around wanting to stand up for our own physical vessels in a sense. And essentially there is less desire to want to belong or want to play the social nice game. Like with North Node Aries, it's like, this is my life, this is my body, this is the direction I want to live, and like wanting to stand up for that. So I also think just with North Node Aries, we can find that more people are more likely to want to work out or like just want to be more physical or things of that nature. Libra is a very intelligent sign, and it has to do with social niceties and this idea of belonging and things of that nature. With North Node Aries, I just feel that a lot more people are going to be sticking up for their physical bodies, their rights to their physical body, and wanting to like stick up for that, not worrying necessarily about needing to keep the peace, keep it all good, make it easy on everybody else. It's like, no, that's not okay, right? It's taking the reins of our own life and taking the reins of our own body. As I highlighted, there's a theme around living more in our body, staying attuned to our body, noticing its instincts. I also want to bring to the surface with North Node Aries, I just feel like people are going to get more active during this transit is my theory anyway. With North Node Aries, it just feels like wanting to jump in and experience life and try things, right? And with South Node Libra, letting go of, oh, I don't want to try that, it'll get, my jeans dirty. Like, it just feels like with North Node Aries, I feel that more people will be embracing, adventure and experiencing life rather than the South Node Libra, like living a lot of it on their screens and things of that nature. Like, Libra is an air sign, right? It's about connection. I think this always comes to surface just because Instagram, the social platform, is a Libra, so I always think about it. And I just feel like whether it's a move from that platform specifically, as well as Pluto being an Aquarius, I just feel that, not that it's not gonna go away, like Twitter was established last time the nodes were in Aries, so I definitely don't think it's going away, but I just think with North Node Aries, people are going to really wanna prioritize living their life rather than just pretending that they do on the gram. Does that make sense? Having more real, physical, raw experiences and less around needing to be approved by others. So just a theme I wanted to plant. My brain, because I do love pop culture. You can be both. You can be spiritual and into pop culture, okay? And so one thing I just wanted to say is when I thought about the last times the nodes were in Aries, which was 2004 to 2006, that time period was such a time for socialites and particularly people starting to get famous for just being themselves, okay? Because like I said with North Node Aries, it's very me, look at me. And a lot of socialites during that time kind of capitalized on this outrage marketing, right? Around people being someone, they do nothing, they're famous for nothing, right? Because with South Node Libra, it's less about needing to be accepted, right? Like the people who rose to fame, like the people who come to mind during this particular transit, like I feel like Paris Hilton was everywhere during this time, Nicole Richie was everywhere during this time, Kim Kardashian, this was around the time of the tape and all of that. it was like all of these controversial events, right, that did prompt a lot of backlash. And it kind of created this new media vessel around being able to leverage that sort of backlash. And I feel that's representative of North Node Aries, absolutely, this like me sort of energy of paparazzi and more people wanting attention, more people being able to kind of rise to fame through just being themselves or wanting attention, whatever it is that you want to call it. But I also think it's interesting that the names that I mentioned, it was the first kind of time that we saw within pop culture, people being able to leverage people's intense reactions or people's, gossip. And I feel like this was the time that like paparazzis were out of control. Like people were outraged or people were mad, but they couldn't stop watching, right? They couldn't stop paying attention. With South Node Libra, it's like less inclined around needing to, be accepted and to be validated by everybody. They intentionally or not intentionally, depending on the person, but a lot of people intentionally sort of incited and fueled this controversy and leveraged it to rise to fame. Like I said, with North Node Aries, anger can be an emotion, and it can be a powerful one at that. Whether it's our own anger or the anger of other individuals, it can be leveraged. Now, I'm not saying during this time do controversial things and be captured by paparazzi, but do observe where it is that you are dulling your shine or dulling your brand by this idea of needing to be liked by everybody. Again, to be liked by everybody, like if you try to make something that is liked and adored by every single person, you just get a pile of bland mush. So with North Node Aries, embrace your own expression, even if it does rile people up or not everybody, necessarily agrees. It's this energy around the more raw and fierce and authentic that you can be, the more it is that you magnetize the right people to be around, right? The more that you live a life in integrity with the person that you are, rather than allowing it to be modified and altered and adjusted and shapeshifted in order to be enough for everybody. Like when it comes to that time of pop culture, hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. Like it was such an interesting time with pop culture. Paparazzi shots and club shoots, and everyone was like, oh, they're party girls, they do nothing, they do nothing, they do nothing. And it's like that outrage, people judging or what have you, can be fueled. It can be used to facilitate your own fame or anything of that nature. So, not saying you should use outrage marketing, but all I'm saying is someone will always be mad, someone will always have something negative to say. Dull the haters, listen to yourself. I will say with North Node Aries, I am concerned as it relates to fires, wildfires, things of that nature. North Node is in a fire sign, so it can lead to this abundance of this fiery energy, which is something that I am a bit concerned about. I will say the energy of Aries, it's cardinal and it's fire, it's quick, right? So I believe during this influence, we could have more events that are a little bit more quick in nature or a little bit more shocking but sudden. Like the energy of Aries, it's about initiation. It's not in a fixed energy. So all I want to say with this is that with North Node Aries, it doesn't feel like anything too like long term. It feels like intense, concentrated periods of intensity, whether it's fires or other events, right, that could come to the surface, but nothing too enduring, right? Aries is very much flash in the pan energy. So all I want to say, whether it's a fire or something else within our world, right? Something else, maybe it's not a physical fire, but something else blows up within our world. With the energy of Aries, it's hot, it's fast, it's quick. And so I don't want you to necessarily panic, feeling like, oh, is this always how it's going to be? The energy of Aries is a quicker one. So firstly, just know this too shall pass. And secondly, it's not that it will be like this every day for the rest of your life. Oftentimes, North Node Aries, it's a firecracker, right? It's literally a flash in the pan sort of energy. So while there can be more outbursts, right, things blowing up to an emotional level, we can also experience arenas of our life blowing up, things of that nature, and just understanding this too shall pass. Sometimes, whether it's, behaving in a more angry way that we're not super proud of, like I said, keep your eye on that. Whether it's arena of our life that like all of a sudden just like blows up, with this kind of quick nature, it can be something that can work through or gotten over, right? So I want to say within natural disasters, we can experience things like that, like quick, sudden events just with North Node Aries, but hopefully what I'm hoping is that nothing too enduring or that creates a ton of stress or a ton of destruction for a long time. So I really wanted to bucket into this, not only just the physical natural disasters that could occur, but also just within our lives where it is that we experience these blow-ups or these events that occur, like just understanding this too shall pass. So now that we've broken down some themes of what it is that we can expect during this North Node in Aries transit, let's go ahead and take it into your chart, the areas of your life that you're being asked to assert and advocate, and where it is you're being asked to release any people-pleasing tendencies. I want to firstly show you how you can find where exactly this influence will be concentrated within your chart, because when you find it, that's where the eclipses will land. So understanding what eclipse story is taking place will help you tune into what arenas of your life will be transformed amongst this time. So there's two options of how it is that you can find this. First option, if you are newer to astrology or you utilize whole sign house system, what I want you to do is look below. You'll see that I have timestamps in the description as well as in the pinned comment that list likely sun sign and likely rising sign. And so I want you to find your sun sign, listen to that timestamp, find your rising sign, listen to that timestamp. And I just want to make a quick note. Typically we just look at rising sign, right? Because it's your actual houses, the life arenas that are being brought forward. I like to think about solar houses as well sometimes, can also have some value. So listen to your rising sign firstly, but also listen to your sun sign because parts of that may resonate as well. So the next option, if you are like me and you use Politeness, it's a little bit more complicated, but I would love to show you how. So what I want you to do is I want you to find your circle chart. Look at the outer ring and I want you to find the red Aries symbol, okay? From line to line, this is the expanse of your chart that has Aries degrees in it. I want you to look at the expanse of that symbol, follow the inner ring, you will see little numbers, and consider the two pieces of pizza, or maybe three, that energy expands between. So we see in the example that I'm showing on screen, we see that Aries symbol is between the first house and the second house. Listen to both readings because during the first portion of this transit, it will be in the second house, and in the second part of the transit, it'll be in the first house. I know it's a little confusing, but nodes move backward. So essentially, you would think of the arena of Aries that's closer to the Taurus symbol. I'm circling right here, the green symbol. That's 29 degrees Aries, which is where the North Node shifts into in July 2023. So then it moves backwards. So then eventually it will transit into the first house, and you'll need to get specific about degrees to find out when that happens for you. But I want you to listen to both readings and know that's what will come to the surface. And because the nodes move as a tandem, they move together. You can also do the same with Libra. We see that the Libra extends between the 7th house and the 8th house. So again, all of the readings here will be given in an axis. If North Node is transiting one house, South Node will automatically be transiting another house. That's simply how the nodes work. And if you use Politeness like me and you're curious how to find solar houses, in that case, just find your sun sign. So find your specific rising timestamp where it is that I just showed you, and then just see where it says likely sun sign and listen to that timestamp as well. Rising will always be the most accurate, but I believe solar houses can sometimes have some relevance as well, especially when with these longer term transits. So now that we've learned what story is beginning within our world, let's go ahead and take it into our house by house nodal analysis. I come to you as the saddest editing Haley Comet that there ever was, because in the course of filming this video, for some reason, halfway through, my microphone stopped working. And I didn't realize when I was filming, I realized while editing, and halfway through the video, you'll notice that the audio quality decreases exponentially. It's because my microphone stopped working, so then only my camera was picking it up, and it just doesn't have that great of audio quality. So I just want to say, if this is your first video of mine, typically I would not post something of this quality, but I think I was inspired by this North Node in Aries energy around not allowing myself to suppress this message just because it's not perfect, and I do think you can still hear what I'm saying. However, please let me know if it does impact your viewing and listening quality, because maybe I can, do a part 2, do a follow-up for the houses that were affected. Thank you so much for your patience. It's quite laudable, especially since we're moving into North Node in Aries, where patience can be running thin. I appreciate you. Thank you for bearing with me, and enjoy my raw, unfiltered expression. If North Node Aries will transit your first house and South Node Libra will transit your 7th house, this reading is for you. You may potentially be an Aries Sun or an Aries Ascendant, or you just have some Aries in your first house, some Libra in your 7th house. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. So my love, seriously, I want you to write this on your mirror, have a note of this on your wardrobe. To thine own self, be true. You are in the driver's seat of your life, or at least during this transit, you'll be guided to take the driver's seat of your life. And you will be forced to confront how many aspects of your life you have been living for other people, okay? They don't have to pass when you pass. They don't have to live with your consequences like you do. They won't have to feel the passage of time like you do. People can have the best intentions for us, but they still won't know at the end of the day what is best for our soul, our missions, our gifts. Only you can decide that for yourself. With North Node first house, you are being asked to follow your instincts, truly. You are being asked to assert yourself. You are being asked to advocate and make the life you want happen rather than waiting on somebody else to give it to you. With South Node being in your 7th house, I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to stress, okay? With South Node in your 7th house, it's not saying that you will lose a relationship during this time. Your relationships can definitely change, particularly around the eclipses. You know, there can be certain themes that come to the surface, but I'm not saying every single person who is having this will have a breakup. Many may, okay, let's be real, South Node Libra, if there are relationships that are built on a false self, where you don't have the space to be able to grow and change and have this season of your life, and your relationship can't accommodate you taking center stage of your own life, those are the relationships that can fall away during this time. Like when it comes to partnership, people are like seasons, right? We're constantly evolving and changing. And sometimes when we get into relationships, we almost enter this agreement around the person that we are when we first enter that relationship around, okay, this is how I'm going to be, this is how you're going to be, and we're going to stay this way, right? Because this is who I fell in love with. But with North Node Aries, it's saying like, what areas of your life do you feel like you have to be more free within? Like you need to be more yourself within. And with South Node Libra, observe where it is that your partnerships could be like, why are you changing? Stay like this, right? And those may be relationships that you are being asked to release. There's also going to be this tone around releasing people pleasing within relationships. Because you do have Libra in your 7th house, you could deeply prioritize peace in relationships. You just want to get along. You just want things to be good between you guys. You just want to keep the peace, right? There's this energy around, so long as things look good on the outside and we can keep up appearances, that is what matters. And with North Node Aries, it's saying like, you are human, tap back into yourself. And oftentimes when it comes to relationships, sometimes we can be in a relationship for so long that we do lose touch with ourselves. And I would say during this transit, like allowing yourself to identify what is it that I like, even on very, very micro ways. I just want to share, like, this transit just makes me think back to this relationship that I was in for a long time, and it was pretty toxic in some ways, and mostly toxic in how I completely lost my identity within the relationship. And when I got out of that relationship, my friend took me to ice cream, and I was standing there, and the individual who worked at the ice cream shop was like, "What can I get for you?" And I felt so disconnected with myself. I completely forgot who it was that I was within that relationship, that I didn't even remember. I didn't remember what ice cream flavors I liked. I didn't even know what colors I liked. I didn't know the style that I liked to wear in. I just felt so lost. I just felt like mush. I was like, who am I outside of this relationship? Because so much of it was absorbed by trying to mold and be the perfect person for this individual, that at the end of it, I was like, I don't know who I am anymore outside of it. And so whether you're in a relationship now or you're recovering from a relationship, this is a transit that is asking you to get to know yourself. Seriously, get to know your preferences. Like on a very micro level, it was very healing for me in that experience to just even tap into what's my favorite color, like try on different clothes and like be like, okay, what do I like, right? Try different foods and be like, what do I like? It can be very tough because you do lose touch with those parts of you, but it's still within you. So if you don't recognize yourself, if you've forgotten who it is that you you are, this transit is going to be such a beautiful reigniting of your soul, of your preferences, of the person that you are. And with first house, it's identity, it's visibility. So some of you are going to be asked to initiate being seen, right? Putting yourself out there, allowing yourself to have eyes on you and to build this authentic confidence. You know, with North Node Aries, it's like, this is who I am. So whether it comes through within your style, I believe some of you will be excavating a really aligned, authentic style, like dressing the way that you want to dress, not worrying about what other people have to say about it, right? Living the life that you want to live, not worrying other people's opinions about it. Taking the reins of your own life. Some of you are going to be guided during this time to start working out, to prioritizing your physical body, feeling comfortable in your own skin. And again, with energy in North Node Aries, it's asking you to initiate, right? So you might be asked to start something. And when it comes to being visible, you might have to start, you know, whatever it is, like starting that blog, starting that business. Again, this isn't a business house, but it does have to do with eyes on us. Taking ourselves outside the relationship, again, not a physical loss, but being able to reconnect to yourself, even in that relationship, maybe taking yourself on dates, or even just dialing into branding, like, who am I, right? What do I want to be known as? What are my qualities? Who am I is really the center of here. And if you do feel like you are in alignment with who it is that you are, you could experience a lot of gain around notoriety. And there is this energy around, some of you are embracing the parts of you that have been defrosted around the opinions of others, around like your mom would always tell you that you were too loud, or someone else would say you're too impulsive or whatever. And like with North Node Aries, there's this energy of being like, yeah, so is there a rule book around what behavior is appropriate to you guys? It's really this energy around defrosting and reconnecting with authentic self, parts of yourself that you could have felt have been suffocated and disconnected because of what other people had to say about it. Like, it just feels like you're putting less emphasis upon it. Some of you can be guided to start something of your own outside of waiting on a business partner or something of that nature. And with North Node Aries, like maybe you've been waiting for the perfect partner or perfect partner or someone else to come along that you want to start a business with. With North Node Aries, you are being asked to embrace your independence, okay? Embrace putting yourself out there, allowing yourself to trust your own instincts, trust your own vision. It's scary. Like again, South Node in Libra is going to bring to the surface all of our codependent tendencies, where it is that we feel like we need to, you know, hide our authentic self in order to have approval and to be liked and to be validated by people around us. It can be hard to start something. It can be hard to trailblaze. It's hard to start something new that people haven't done, like that there's not a formula or a pathway. But this energy is asking you to be fearless, okay? It's asking you to follow your instincts. It's asking you to understand that you have something to put out there. You are being guided to be visible during this time, to allow yourself, and yes, when you are visible, you do open yourself up to judgment. But guess what? Is that people can say whatever it is that they want about you, but at the end of the day, if you are in integrity with yourself, really doesn't matter that much, okay? And so the more that you can sort of release any fears of judgment and allowing yourself to just be visible, like I always say when I talk about fire energy, I'm like, fire doesn't ask. It doesn't say, am I too hot? Is it too fiery? Should I dim it down, right? It just burns. It just knows that the right people will be magnetized towards it, right? The right moths in this example. And it doesn't worry about the individuals who say that it's too bright. They'll find another candle to stand by. You're just not the candle for them. The more that you try to be the candle for every single person, the more you are a candle for no one. So with North Node Aries, I want you to follow your own instincts, embrace your independence. For those of you who are not in relationships, I'm not saying that you can't get in a relationship during this time, but I will say the relationships, the people who will be magnetized towards yourself, you'll be the most magnetic when you follow your own instincts, when you are your own person, when you prioritize looking good, feeling good, being in your magnetism, living in integrity with the person that you are, being honest about your desires, being forthright about desires, seizing your desires with both hands. It just feels like you're moving to this era about being really raw and unapologetic about yourself, your desires, and the life that you want to live. And I, for one, am really here for it. So this reading is for those who have North Node in Aries transiting their second house, South Node in Libra transiting their 8th house. You may potentially be a Pisces sun, you may potentially be a Pisces rising, or you're neither. You just have Aries and Libra governing your 2nd and 8th house respectively. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. I'm kind of obsessed with the transits that you guys have been having lately, because a lot of you will be Pisces or having Saturn transiting your 1st house, and that in conjunction with this, you guys are being asked to boss up. And I'm kind of here for it, honestly. And it's not always easy being the boss. It's not always easy taking control of your life, but I love sort of the empowering, fiery energy that you guys are being asked to dive into, because you are being asked during this time to prioritize self-sufficiency. You are being asked during this time to prioritize building the bank account, building the values that feel good for you, and letting go of the values that may make sense for other people. With North Node second house, you could notice during this transit, you are craving earning more money. There's nothing wrong with that. A big part of North Node Aries is about being honest and authentic about our desires, not worrying around, oh, is it materialistic? Is it bad to want money? It's not bad. You're a spiritual being who came here for human experience, and here on earth during this time with this capitalism, money is a vessel of that. And be honest about your desires. It doesn't make you any less spiritual, right? Wanting that nice silk robe or whatever it is that you like, following your desires, right? It doesn't make you any less spiritual. And part of this is around, firstly, understanding, not demonizing your desire to have nice things or want nice things. And secondly, following your instincts in order to make that happen for yourself. I'll be forthright. A lot of you are starting a new income stream this year. So it can be year and a half, really. So it can be starting a new business. It can be starting a new job. It can be maybe building a new leg on your existing business. But a lot of you, you've got your mind on the money and money on the mind, especially if you have Saturn also transiting the first house. Not everybody, of course, but there is this emphasis around really wanting to build a solid foundation of yourself and realizing, like, at the end of the day, if you're looking at your job and you're like, this is not going to set me up to live the lifestyle that I desire, there is this energy during this time to be able to think, okay, well, what could I start that will leverage my time and energy? How can I get myself to where I want to go? And with North Node Aries, a lot of you are going to be your own boss during this transit, or craving being your own boss, being only beholden to yourself and following your instincts around what will feel good. And that can feel deeply uncomfortable. It can feel so uncomfortable starting something. It can feel so uncomfortable accepting money for something. It can be uncomfortable being a boss. There's no one to turn to, no one to be like, is this a good idea? I don't know what to price this. I don't know. But with North Node second house, you're being asked to kind of like boss up within that. For those of you who are being asked to start a business or something of that nature, or take control of your finances in other ways. Like if you're someone where you're like, okay, it's fine, I'll just marry rich, right? I'll just wait for this inheritance or whatever. Like with North Node Aries, it's like, grab your finances by both hands. Like you cannot wait for life to happen to you. Can't wait for your desires to come on your doorstep. Like this is sort of like this ravenous energy around wanting to build the finances that you want, the resources that you want, and seize life rather than waiting for it to come to you. And so for some of you, if you have been dependent on other people's support, on your parents supporting you, on like some sort of program that's supporting you, on your spouse supporting you, that's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But essentially with North Node Aries, you could find during this time that you are craving wanting to have more freedom over your finances. You are craving wanting to bring in a stream of your own, or start something new that brings in money, or something of that nature. This won't be the story for everybody, but I do want to note sometimes nodal stories can come to the surface and that a stream of support that you had come to rely on is no longer accessible, or does go through this decrease. So your spouse gets a demotion, or you know, your parents cut you off, something of that nature that does drive this initiation to take your finances, take your world into your own hands. And it's also saying, like, again, being mindful of impulsiveness over money, things of the nature, something important to keep our mind on with North Node Aries. Sometimes being forthright about our finances and our financial future means seizing it with both hands, right? Really striving to look at what's going on. So if you're someone who's in a marriage and you don't really have visibility over the finances, like this North Node second house could be asking you to, you know, look at your finances, or open your own account, or something of that nature. Have something that belongs to you, not because anything bad will happen within your marriage, but just with North Node Aries, it's just asking for you to have some freedom over your money, how it is that you spend it, or whether you create a new method of bringing it to you, whether you want more freedom, how it is that you spend it. There is this energy around wanting to seize it with both hands. And for some of you, there is this desire to really prioritize your own values. Some of you could have lost yourself within a connection, lost, what is it that I value? What is it that I want? And with North Node Aries in the second, it's about, this is what I value and I'm moving towards it. And again, it's like separating the values of others from yours, like being like, literally like the classic trope. That's your dream, Dad. That's not my dream. Like North Node Aries is being like, that is not something that I value, and that is okay. That is okay that I do not value a life like that. Like I feel like sometimes people are so loud around, you need to do this and you need to do this and what have you. It's like, we all have different values. And I feel like astrology has made me really connect to that, Because oftentimes, whether it's on social media or what have you, people are like, you need to have kids, you need to not have kids. Like there's just so many, and again, this isn't a kid house, it has to do with our values, right? There's so many voices out there telling us what it is that we should value, the life that we should build. At the end of the day, everybody has a different blueprint. So it's so silly when I see people on TikTok or whatever saying, this is how you should live, you know, feminine energy, men should be buying everything, or people saying that no, people should have separate bank accounts or what have you. It's like there's so many voices, and like when I look at charts, I'm like, there's simply different blueprints better equipped to certain sort of relationships than others. There's certain experiences that we're looking for financially or within relationships than other charts are. And I feel like looking at a birth chart really attunes us to that, because like we're all designed differently. So when we tell people how they should live and how they should value from our vantage point of our charts, like we don't know their chart, we don't know their strengths, we don't know what they're meant to do or grow. So it's always silly when I see that and people saying this is the right way to live, this is the wrong way to live. Like with North Node Aries, it's saying the only one who matters is the one who has your chart, who has your life. And with North Node Aries in the second house, I'm just feeling like for some of you, I don't know if you're feeling pressured that you need to, you know, give up a stream of income in order to dissolve into a partnership, or it does make sense. And I'm just like really feeling that with your North Node Aries, you're being asked to like kind of boss up, make your own money, prioritize your own finances. And it's not that your relationships will fall apart, but if you are feeling whether it's societal pressure or personal pressure around that it's not important for you to have your own money or things of that nature, like again, at the end of the day, you decide for yourself. If you are someone where that's not necessarily a concern with North Node Aries, it just can be asking for a little bit more freedom in that regard, or to be able to follow your instincts or follow your desires around what it is that you want from your financial world. And for some of you, the story is with North Node Aries, following your own instincts as it relates to design, as it relates to possessions. Like for some of you, perhaps like this is a transit around figuring out what it is that you like, right? Like what it is that you like to be surrounded by, the possessions that spark joy in your life. Maybe everything that's trending, you're like, oh, that makes me want to throw up, whether it's clothes or belongings or what have you. With North Node Aries, it's being like, this is what I like. I don't care if you think it's garish or whatever. This is my soul's colors. This is what I like. Like again, with North Node Aries, a lot of us are being guided to prioritize our own preferences, and you're being asked to kind of do so a little fiercely when it comes to your possession. So I just want you to tune into your authentic preferences. If it's the house that you live in, if it's the clothes that you wear, if it's the car that you buy, with North Node Aries, you need to be happy with that purchase first and foremost. And with South Node Libra, you could be sort of suspended indecision around, well, they don't like it, they don't like it. They don't have to. They don't have to drive around in it. They don't have to live in it. And with North Node Aries, at the end of the day, you are being asked to take control of your finances, right? You're being asked to initiate so that your finances set you up in a positive direction, as well as to take control with where it is that you spend your money and ensuring that it truly is an authentic extension of the person that you are. This reading is for the souls who have North Node in Aries transiting their third house, South Node in Libra transiting their ninth house. You may potentially be an Aquarius sun, an Aquarius rising, or you're neither. You simply have some Aries in your third house and some Libra in your ninth house. But wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. So you are being asked to follow your own voice and your own opinions, and to really allow your own inner voice to be the loudest that you tune into. You guys are learning in transit to really tune into your voice, okay? And I feel that for some of you, with Aries governing in part your third house, you're a very straight shooter, you're very direct, and you could have been told like, you can't talk like that, that's too direct, it's too brash, it's too intense, it's too in your face, and you could have sort of suppressed, held your tongue. You're like, I don't want to be judged, I don't want people to think I'm brash or impulsive or what have you. And the end result is that I feel for some of you, you've been holding your tongue. You've been keeping the peace, you've been prioritizing the peace a little too much, and that you're not necessarily comfortable allowing your voice to be heard. Or it's like for some of you, you know, you can be hesitating when it relates to starting a podcast, starting a TikTok, sharing more on social media, because you're like, well, what are people gonna say? What if they don't like it? What if they disagree? It's like, my love, the moment that you get that first hate comment, you have made it. You have made it. In that, you know, when it comes to sharing on social media, communicating in general, no matter how perfect and polished and respectful and thoughtful that you are, there will always be someone who does not like it. okay? That is just human nature. And honestly, the more, discourse, again, making sure you're respectful, but truly, the more discourse that you draw, it's like a sign that you are really speaking your truth, because that is the nature of social media, is that, people are always going to have something to say, and people particularly have something to say when you're doing well. So with North Node Aries, whether it's on social media or just within your own world, just communicating your truth, there is this embracing of being a little bit more raw, of being a little bit more direct, of being this true way shower, of being someone who honestly communicates your perspective, your opinions, your thoughts. And that's going to be an honesty and a perspective that is appreciated by many. If you've been holding your tongue around, well, I don't want to be rude, I want to be considerate. Again, it's a beautiful thing to be considerate of others and their needs. That's amazing. But for some of you, you could stand to be a little louder with your no. You could be a little fiercer with your boundaries. You need to use your voice. You need to speak up for what it is that you want. And if you've been holding back because you want to find the right way to say something, sometimes I feel like this is going to be a theme with North Node Aries, is sometimes you just have to say it. Sometimes you just have to say it. It just needs to come out. It's not always pretty and polished. The truth can't always be pretty and polished. Sometimes it needs to be raw, and it might make people mad, but if you are in integrity with it, and if it's the truth, okay, if it's your truth, allowing it to be. I shared this earlier, but I just want to repeat it here, is that, Aries is a fire sign, and fire just radiates. It just shines, just is what it is. It doesn't ask, is this too much, what have you. And when it comes to your opinions, it can be something that is more raw or more direct. Maybe there's a boundary that you need to communicate. Maybe there is an opinion that you need to share. Maybe it's controversial, With North Node Aries, this can be a polarizing or more controversial influence. But again, at the end of the day, this is a very unapologetic, fiery energy. It just burns, right? And of course, fire can be destructive. Our words can be destructive. At the end of the day, you have to feel good about what it is that you share. Words can never be taken back. So it is helpful at least to be at least intentional. But if there's something you feel like it is so important to communicate the boundary here or market yourself in this particular way, allow yourself to lead and know that people will at times have something to say about it. Okay, they just will. And with North Node Aries, it's about being comfortable with that, being comfortable initiating and sharing your truth, even if certain people do find it garish or too bold or too wreck or what have you. Okay, seriously, like when it comes to asserting a boundary, if there is something that has not been okay and you've just been trying to keep the peace, with North Node Aries, obviously they're going to react when you uphold a boundary. I just want to share this. My dear friend Jessie, who's also an Aquarius rising, shared this to me, and she said, the only people who get mad when you vocalize a boundary are the people used to crossing them. Okay, so keep that in mind. Like with North Node Aries, like the approval and the validation of others is not the barometer by which we should live our life, right? And so with North Node Aries, if you do share on social media or have wanted to share on social media, there can be a call to initiate. Again, start that podcast, start that YouTube channel, start sharing your perspective, right? And some of you are asking to get a little bit more raw, get a little bit more direct. Again, nobody likes flavorless oatmeal mush, right? Something that's for everybody. Like people will have something to say about it. And the more that you can cut through the people that you are not for, the more you can find your community, right? Your audience. And with North Node Aries in the third house, you are magnetizing the right people to your content, to your communication style through your honesty. Okay, so I want you to embolden your voice, embolden your authenticity. And when it comes to other arenas for this third house, some of you are being asked to take control as it relates to your mind, whether this relates to learning a new skill. Like again, I've always wanted to learn this language, but I'll wait till the timing right, or when my friend wants to do it with me. You're being asked to grab that with both hands, prioritize it now. Some of you random, but there can be a theme during this time around needing to set boundaries with neighbors or within your neighborhood, maybe taking a more active role with your HOA or with some sort of neighborhood community. Again, that will not be a message for everybody. Some of you with North Node in Aries in the third house will be asked to embolden your communication. Writing, you could be asked to start a new project, write a new project. Some of you can be called during this time to embolden your public speaking ability or to embolden your writing ability. And again, with North Node Aries, it calls for this initiation. It calls for this fearlessness. I feel for some of you could be shy shy or uncomfortable allowing yourself to share. And this is really a transit that's asking you to fearlessly and fiercely share your voice, share your perspective, share your glow. And that can come through in other ways. Like, I'm not saying everybody who has this needs to curse, but essentially there is a particular magic that the way that you communicate signals, right? Like, I know many people come to my content and they're like, she's too peppy, she's too whatever. But it's like the people who my content is for find that refreshing, or at least don't mind it, right? Like, you have a particular magic, and the more you try to subdue it, the more you dull it, okay? The more you try to make your magic for everybody, the more you make your magic for nobody. So maybe your authentic voice is a little raw. Maybe you curse. Maybe you are more positive. Maybe you're more negative. Someone will find your brand of honesty refreshing. They will be magnetized towards it, right? Fire is deeply repelling for some and deeply magnetizing for others. So your authentic voice is going to be a magnet during this transit, bringing you the aligned contacts, the aligned communities, the aligned opportunities. Third house is also sales, marketing, media. So some of you are being asked to initiate that, maybe prioritize it more so as it relates to your business, prioritize more marketing, maybe take the reins around learning a marketing strategy for yourself. Maybe you want to be a freelancer and learn some sort of online career. Taking the reins within your skill set is encouraged here. As well as with North Node Aries, just when it relates to dinner party conversations, connections, getting more comfortable sharing your truth and allowing your voice to not shake as much, right? We're getting out of our comfort zone by allowing ourselves to stand by our opinions and get more comfortable sharing our opinions, even if they are polarizing. If Aries North Node will transit the 4th house of your astrological natal chart and South Node Libra will transit the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn ascendant, or you're neither. You simply have some Aries in your 4th house, some Libra in your 10th house. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. So you are being guided during this time to really be a little selfish as it relates to your happiness and building the life that you want from the inside out. You are less concerned during this transit about appearances, around how things look to the outer world, and you are deeply prioritizing what it is that makes you happy to your own soul and letting go what other individuals have to say about it. It's almost like you are grabbing onto, with both hands, the care and keeping of the most private aspects of your world, which is great, because if you don't advocate for yourself, like, who will? And you can find that during this time, a little bit more passionate around the life that you want, the lifestyle that you want, and less inclined to want to appease others. Since South Node will transit the 10th house of career, again, I don't want to incite any fear. I'm not saying you're going to lose your job. I'm not saying anything of that nature. But what I will say is that if you are stuck, I feel for some of you, you can be in a work environment with someone that you work for or around where it's a little bit codependent. Maybe you run your own business and you're constantly checking emails even when you're off. Your business really affects your whole mood. You're constantly trying to please other people. Maybe you work for a boss who is toxic, who is constantly asking things of you, and you always feel like you have to accommodate. There can be some codependent energies within work, in that your work, like some astrologers sometimes say, that wherever Libra lands within our chart is what it is that we are truly, quote unquote, married to. And so with Libra in the 10th house, you can feel married to your career and your happiness is an afterthought. And during this transit, you're like, no, I deserve to have a day off. I deserve to have more downtime. I deserve to spend more time with my family. And the thing is that sometimes you have to be fierce to be soft. Sometimes you have to be loud with your no in order to really have the time for what is sacred to you. So while North Node in the 4th house can be described as perhaps more of a, soft transit where you are wanting to spend more time at home, prioritize happiness, prioritize your family, it's not just given. Again, with North Node Aries, we're being asked to advocate for ourselves, fiercely grab the life that we want, the connections that we want, the time with loved ones that we want, with both hands, fiercely, unapologetically. And you might find that during the South Node 10th house, maybe you have less energy to give towards work. Maybe you're being a little harsher with your boundaries. No, I can't work that extra day. I'm spending time with my family. No, I can't finish that project for you. And sometimes you have to be loud with it. No, I can't take that extra day of work. I'm spending time with my family. No, it won't work for me, that promotion, if I have to move away from the people that I hold dear. Like, it just feels like not that you're going to step away from your career at all, but you're prioritizing more of your inner landscape. How is it that I want to live? What is the lifestyle I desire? And realizing that, you know, work can't be the whole of your life, can't meet all of your needs. Rather than accommodating and shape-shifting your way around work and being appeased by authority figures, it's almost like you are prioritizing a little bit more of healthy boundaries perhaps, and being a little bit fierce about living the life that you want. Some people may take a step back from their career during this time, let go of a career path that you thought you wanted, but you're just like, it doesn't feel in alignment. Some people can find maybe it's less glamorous or what have you, but you're prioritizing something that allows you to spend more time at home or makes you genuinely more happy. Like, again, it's an inside out approach. With North Node in the 4th house, you're essentially asking yourself, what makes me feel good to a soul, and how can my career fit in that? Like, what is my ideal lifestyle? What are my values? And how can I build a career that honors that? Some people, you could be prioritizing raising a family during this time and maybe take some time out of work in order to prioritize family, moving closer to take care of your parents, moving closer to take care of your family in some regard. Some people can be moving, and I will say with the North Node Aries, you're being asked to be a little fierce about the pursuits. You might need to get competitive about putting on bids or things of that nature, as well as I'm just feeling, you know, you can have some energy with South Node Libra and why are you moving? But it's like, at the end of the day, your lifestyle, your experience at home needs to make you happy, not other individuals, right? And with North Node Aries in the 4th house, you could take the reins in regards to your own emotions. I had a little spiel about anger earlier. I deeply recommend going and listening to that. But when it comes to North Node Aries, listening to that, if you haven't, someone told me that they typically just skip to their timetable. Like, you need to listen to the overall energy before your house because it helps you familiarize with what can come to the surface. But anywho, with North Node Aries, you are learning not to demonize anger, and you are really diving into your emotions, because again, with Libra at the top of your chart, there is this energy around collaboration and working with others, which again is beautiful. Those are beautiful qualities. But with North Node Aries, it's like allowing your emotions to be raw, right? Allowing yourself to not demonize the emotions that you feel. Like, for some of you, you can be sort of stifling your anger or your sadness or what have you in order to always get along with everybody else or to be something to everybody else. And there's just energy where it's like, enough. I need to be unapologetically myself with my own emotions, and maybe even initiating steps that help you manage your emotions or something of that nature. Now, for some of you who have roommates or things of the nature, with North Node Aries, you can be guided to assert yourself, maintain boundaries or something of the nature. Some of you can be guided to remodel during this transit. And again, your design choices may not be loved by everybody, but they don't have to live there. Not everybody has to live there, right? So with North Node Aries, it's asking you to take the reins around building the home that you want, building the emotional landscape that you want, and truly building the lifestyle that you want. I want you to radically reclaim free time, if possible, and really be loud about your boundaries and really prioritize deeply and fiercely the things that make you happy. If roller skating makes you happy, roller skate. That's always an example I give. Going to the beach once a week makes you happy, go to the beach once a week. Like, there's this energy around making your own emotional needs non-negotiables, and everything else falls in place. Like, some of you are being asked to kind of release people-pleasing tendencies, because keep in mind, because this is angular houses, this will be a little bit more intense for you, and a lot of you are being asked to kind of release people-pleasing tendencies and to be as fierce about the commitments that you make to yourself as you would your commitments to anything or anyone else. It's like, oh, I'll definitely be there for that meeting with you, but when it comes to the date that I was going to take with myself, that I can always move around. And this transit is like, no more. You are non-negotiable. Your needs, your happiness is non-negotiable. Everything else has to fall into place after that. Now, for some of you, I know you might be a parent or something of the nature, and of course, with North Node 4th house, you're feeling guided to spend more time with family, and it's not necessarily as easy to be selfish and be like, oh, I'm just going to the beach or what have you, but being able to assert maybe tasks around the home, asserting to other caregivers or things of the nature, this is something that I need. Prioritizing, maybe putting your kids in daycare or with a trusted family member once a week so that you can do tasks for yourself. Like, happy mom, happy kids, okay? Happy dad, happy kids. Like, your happiness is the heartbeat of the home, truly. So prioritizing that for those who do raise a family. Like, sometimes we do need to be a little selfish and remembering who it is that we are outside of a role of being a caregiver. For some of you, you could be maybe not a parent, but a caregiver for your family members, and that advice remains the same. For you to be able to be this caregiver, you need to ensure you are also filling up your own cup. As corny as it is, you need to prioritize yourself as you prioritize that other person that you are giving care to. So if North Node Aries transits the 5th house of your astrological natal chart and South Node Libra transits the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Sagittarius sun, you may be a Sagittarius rising, or you simply have some Aries in the 5th house, some Libra in the 11th house. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. So this is a fun one, I won't lie. Like, there is this energy where you are just stepping into your unapologetic era. Seriously. You are allowing your pleasure to take the reins. You are allowing your enjoyment to be center stage, and you are less inclined of fitting in with communities or groups that are not in alignment with you. Some of you are feeling called during this time to release codependent friendships. And it's not to say that you're going to lose friends, okay? And I always say with eclipses, I'm like, when things happen during eclipses, that was fated, love. That was a fated karmic shift that was meant to occur, right? And so if friends do fall away, I know it's painful and certainly hold space to, grieve that, but do know, like, when the nodes get involved, they take away whatever is blocking, our pathway forward. The other theme that I would say is there just can be a releasing of a codependent style within the connection. So if there is someone whom you put all of your happiness upon, like, I'm happy if I hear from this person, I'm happy if I hang out with this person, and that's a lot to ask of someone. And just with this transit, there can be this call around letting go of these codependent tendencies, around not allowing your happiness, your enjoyment of life to be tied to other people and their approval of you, of your belonging. For some of you, I feel there could have been this energy around trying to belong, trying to be part of this certain friend group and still feeling on the outside, right? And it's not that you're letting go of the friend group, but you're letting go of your attachment to the friend group, around allowing that dictate your ups and downs, around that to dictate your identity. There's just this energy where you're just not attached. You're just like, whatever, if you guys don't want to hang out with me, that's fine. Like, let's have fun, let's spend time if you're down. If not, I'm not worried about it. Some of you, like for PTA or any sort of group or club or band, there could just be this energy around not wanting to stifle your own expression by everybody else. Like, I don't know how that would play into PTA, but there just is less of an interest around fitting in, around feeling connected to other people. It's just like this energy where you are prioritizing your own play, your own fun, your own creativity. If people fall into it, that's great. If not, you're not too bothered about it, or at least you're shifting into an era where you are releasing being bothered about it. What you are prioritizing is your own creativity. So I will say, my loves who are creative, singers, actors, poets, what have you, this is the time to create and to create fiercely. Part of this release of South Node Libra 11th house is needing to be accepted by everybody, needing to be validated by everybody, and your art can be something part of that. You have Aries partly in your 5th house, so the art that you're meant to create is raw and expressive and direct. It's honest, right? It's not polished. It's not cookie cutter. It reveals the truth of things. So with the North Node in the 5th house, there is this desire to take the reins as it relates to your art, as it relates to your creative expression, and to not be concerned if you get some bad critiques or if not everybody gets it. They're not meant to. Those are not your people. With North Node Aries, you're meant to express yourself in the most raw way possible, and just understand, maybe it makes people mad, maybe there's backlash. People's reaction to your art has nothing to do with you. Obviously, I'm not saying do anything truly cruel or anything of that nature, but if there is something where like, oh, this uses some curse words, or this is pretty direct, with so long as you are in integrity with what it is that you are here to share it rawly, and understand that truly, if you get hate comments, if there's haters, like, it's a weird society we live in, but oftentimes that can be a marker of success, right? Like, that's controversial. At least they're talking, right? At least they're talking. Like, with your North Node Aries, I would just say, however you can, prioritize creating. Not all of you necessarily, this will be a creative transit. I will say for some of you, if you're in a band or you kind of gear your creativity towards a group endeavor, like, oh, this particular, creative thing that we do together. With North Node Aries, like, this is the transit around going solo, right? This is the energy around prioritizing your own creativity. Like, it's beautiful if we can be in an environment where we can be our rawest expression, but I'm feeling for some of you, not all your groups necessarily, like, you can be feeling this energy around biting your tongue, not being able to speak your truth, which for a lot of you guys are Sagittarians, so it's like, that doesn't work for you. Like, this is a time around allowing your own pleasure and your own creativity to take center stage of your own life. And with North Node 5th house, like, you're the main character of your own existence during this time. You're prioritizing your own play, your own fun and you're prioritizing dating, I will say a lot of you might be more inclined to want to get out there in regards to romance. And again, with the energy of Aries, you might be really invigorated as it relates to a chase, or really craving this kind of like raw connection, right? Like the sort of people that you're around, like every cell of your body is just like so lit up, like, oh my goodness. You could be prioritizing more of that. And also just with fifth house, it's fun. So some of you are just taking the reins around doing things that are more fun, right? Like with South Node Libra in the 11th house, maybe you're less inclined to want to be in these group environments where just people like talking and what have you. Like there's nothing wrong with talking, but maybe this is a time in your life when you're craving more adventure. You want to live your life and not just talk about it. You want to have experiences, you want to have fun. So maybe you're craving more playful inner child work. You're craving, going to amusement parks and trying new hobbies and just wanting to have fun and experience life, right? With both hands in a very hands first way. For some of you, you can conceive during this time. Common transit for conception, so just being mindful, particularly with the energy of Aries, things can be sudden, so just being a little mindful in regards to that. And sometimes people conceive, and that's kind of how the South Node 11th house transit plays out, in that you have less time for friendships, right? More of your time goes towards children, and that's okay. So my biggest advice during this time is to allow yourself to kind of practice non-attachment when it comes to friendships. Like the right people will stay, obviously, but if there are certain relationships where you feel like you have to force it, or if it's like you just want that connection for appearances, because you guys, post Instagrams together and you have someone to do with, like, there's just less of an interest around wanting to live a life that looks good on the outside. You really want to live a life that feels good and feels fun on the inside. So allowing that to take center stage as you take center stage of your own life. If North Node in Aries will transit your 6th house and South Node in Libra will transit your 12th house, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Scorpio sun, you may be a Scorpio ascendant, or you're neither and you simply have some Aries in your 6th house and some Libra in your 12th house. So for you, firstly, I just want to say congrats, because for a lot of you, the eclipses have been in your sign, which tends to be a very, very confusing time. It tends to be an energy in which our vision of who it is that we are tends to shift, right? And it does feel more stabilizing when South Node gets out of our first house. So I just want to say congratulations, firstly. Secondly, let's talk about what it is that you're prioritizing. You are prioritizing taking the reins as it relates to your day-to-day. Some of you are going to feel deeply guided during this time to start working out. First things first, a lot of you are going to take the reins around having to initiate the lifestyle that you want with the daily routine that you want, straight up. Like, a lot of you with the South Node Libra in the 12th house, there could be this energy around what I should do. And with North Node Aries, it's just like, I need to do this. I know this would be good for me. Whether it's a new exercise routine, journaling, limiting media consumption, there's just an energy where you're like, no one's going to do this for me. No one's going to hand the life and the lifestyle that I want to me. I need to take the reins and make it happen for myself. Work can absolutely fall into this. For some of you, you can feel very guided to start a new job, maybe be a freelancer, take control of your schedule in that way. Maybe it's like this energy around realizing like, hey, I own my own business. I know 9 to 5 is the appropriate hours to work, but I actually work better late at night. And that's okay. I can do that, right? Maybe it's taking the reins around delegation, being a little bit more fiercer when it comes to the work that needs to get done, who needs to do it. For some of you, I'll say you could start a side hustle during this time or start something. Again, there's a lot of energy around initiation with North Node transiting the 6th house. So perhaps starting a new job that will help you in some way, maybe learning a new skills that will help you for your job, as well as advocating for yourself at work. Maybe this is energy around allowing yourself to be more visible, putting yourself out there for that promotion, putting yourself out there, taking credit, right? Getting comfortable saying, yep, I did that, right? If you're in a situation, at work where you don't assert yourself, you don't advocate for yourself, you don't let yourself be visible, this energy around allowing your needs to be heard and allowing your work to be admired, right? Like literally with the energy of North Node, a lot of us are being asked to speak up. So if other people are taking, credit for your work or something of the nature, obviously try to be respectful, but with North Node Aries, it's being able to take the initiative to highlight your successes. Like if you know an Aries, you know what I'm talking about. They will let you know, right? And sometimes that's how it is that we can level up, is allowing people to see our successes, especially if you do want a promotion or something of that nature. A lot of you can feel guided to want to initiate, start a new job, applying. Again, shoot your shot with the energy of North Node Aries. fortune favors the bold. So this is the time to really put yourself out there, really allow yourself to be seen. And also, just with this being the area of health, a lot of you are being a little fiercer around advocating for your own health. Like I said, you can be fiercer about wanting to co-create the lifestyle that you desire, running in the morning, what have you. Like, you could just be like, I need to make this happen for myself because no one else is going to. When it comes to your medical care, like, some of you are being asked to like advocate for yourself. Maybe you're sick of doctors minimizing your symptoms and things of that nature. And this North Node Aries is like, enough, I need better care. Maybe it's finding some sort of specialist or needing to take a more active role around finding the modalities that work for you in order to support your healing. And even if it's not necessarily that you're sick or anything, there just could be a desire to play a more active role as it relates to your health. So it's like really doing your research around what it is that you want to be eating, or really doing your research around what exercise is best for you, right? With North Node Aries, it's asking us to really take the reins. Maybe it's doing research around what vitamins are best, what chemicals are in our stuff. Like, with North Node Aries, it's like taking the reins, building the life that we want and the way that we want to feel. And some of you are being guided during this time to really assert yourself and initiate when it relates to work. So again, allowing your voice to be stronger at work. So not needing to be liked by your coworkers, like being this energy around this needs to get done, right? Really stepping into your leadership ability. For some of you who run your own business or things of nature, 6th house is also people that we hire. So with North Node Aries, there could be this energy around really needing to step in and bolster what it is that you need to get done. Or maybe for some of you, you're contemplating bringing on a freelancer or bringing on someone who can help you with your tasks. But again, with the energy of North Node Aries, you need to get comfortable with being the bad guy. Now, I'm not saying be cruel to your employees, not at all. Be kind and respectful, right? But you cannot build a business without at times needing to be direct, needing to be honest, like needing to give honest feedback around, okay, this isn't quite right, but we'll work on this, right? Like, needing to be forthright about the results that you require can be emphasized during this time. Now, with South Node 12th house, there can be feeling less inclined to just be within your own world. Like, you guys are moving into a very busy season, I will say, with North Node, the 6th house. Work, you could be working a lot. Like I said, a lot of people typically will start a side hustle or start a new stream, a new project, a new, element of their work. Typically there is this energy, especially with Aries, 6th house. I'm telling you, when it comes to work, you are favored, particularly when it comes to starting new things, okay? And just with South Node 12th house, having less time to be in solitude, right? Having less time to spiritually connect, like being guided to live in the material world rather than just escaping into the spiritual one, right? Like, again, nodes are balanced, but just with South Node 12th house, you might find that you are less inclined to connect in dreams and do all the spiritual stuff. You're just really being guided to prioritize your healing in a very physical way, working out, getting your work life in order, right? Getting your boundaries in order at work, ensuring that getting your boundaries in order in work, and you might feel that you are just less inclined. Some of you are releasing people pleasing that happens to the surface, like feeling like I am only valuable if people love and accept me. Because again, 12th houses are subconscious processes. So a lot of you are shedding where that comes from within. You're also being guided to just get comfortable and to really build that muscle around making decisions. Like, a lot of you have been stuck in indecision. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Which could impact your leadership. It could impact your health. And you're being guided to kind of release this indecision. Trust your instincts. Get comfortable with working that muscle, working that muscle, working that muscle. If North Node Aries will transit the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, and South Node Libra will transit the 1st house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Libra sun, you may be a Libra ascendant, or you simply have some Aries in your 7th house, some Libra in your 1st house. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. So this is always the one. I swear, my TikTok comments, my YouTube comments, always individuals who are like Libra risings or have these opposite signs and opposite houses that are always the most confused, because it's like, well, I'm meant to prioritize myself with the energy in Aries, but then it's transiting the arena of others. So how do I do that? So let's get into it. So this is prioritizing your own authentic expression as it relates to relationships, within relationships. Since you have North Node and 7th house, people can show up for you in brand new ways. This is a really aligned time for karmic fated people coming in to your life and going out of your life. Again, when it comes to nodal stories, if people leave your life, I guarantee you it's setting you up for bigger blessings within your life. And people who come into your life can have a really particular reason come into your orbit, okay? But with North Node Aries, it's asking you to attract people from this place of authenticity. You have South Node Libra first house. So what you are shedding is this energy around allowing your identity to be wrapped up in other people liking you or finding you attractive or finding you valuable. These Libra themes, right? With North Node Aries in the seventh house, it's prioritizing your own expression and allowing that to be a magnet for the right people to come into your orbit, appreciating your own rawness and integrity. I'm telling you, you living in your truth will attract the most aligned souls your way. And for some of you, with Libra in the first house, you could have been told, like, kids should be seen and not heard. You could have been told you always need to be prim and proper for people to like you. And just with North Node Aries, it's almost just this energy around prioritizing yourself and finding that people are magnetized to you because you're being yourself. I will say, having South Node in the first house is not a necessarily easy transit, okay? This too shall pass, okay? It's only a year and a half, but it can feel very destabilizing because South Node, I think of it like a vacuum. It's technically the dragon's tail, but I think of it like kind of sucking out what it's going through. And with it going through the first house, there is this energy around feeling a little bit lost, like you might not recognize yourself. And again, you're going through massive transformation. When you have nodes in angles, it typically is a more transformative, pivotal time. And when we're in these immense growth periods, right? It's natural for us to not recognize ourselves. We don't recognize ourselves because we don't recognize what our life is transforming into, right? And so with that, you just got to rock with it for a moment, okay? Embrace those feelings of feeling lost. It simply means you don't recognize your destination. And it could be a very exciting place to be in, so long as you're able to be flexible in regards to how it is you define yourself. Because as I briefly alluded to, sometimes where it is that you've defined yourself isn't necessarily the most grounded or sustainable arenas. Some of you have identified yourself with being this person's friend, this person's partner, being very likable, being very pretty, what have you. Those are all beautiful qualities to have. Certainly, it's amazing to have connections within our lives. But the thing is that those are things outside of our locus of control. One day, beauty does fade. People may not like us forever, right? And so, when we identify ourselves and find our confidence rooted in these external factors, it can sort of set our lives up in sort of a dangerous fashion because it's like, it's not super grounded. Like, again, friends, connections within your world, like I said, North Node, 7th house, people will show up for you, certainly. But with South Node, 1st house, being okay even if they don't. Like letting go of your identity, being wrapped up into being this person's right-hand man, this person, this and that, right? And that can be uncomfortable. With South Node 1st house, you're going to have to do some deep dives around how is it that I identify myself, right? And maybe for some of you, your sense of style can be changing. Even your identity can change during this time. Your physical appearance can change during this time. And it's just important in this interim that you just allow yourself to transform during this massive growth spurt. And I will say, when it comes to having South Node within the 1st house, some of you can have less interest around wanting to do things. And maybe for some of you, you put a lot of time and energy into your appearance. And perhaps during this transit, you might be like, what for? Like, this is such a time set. Don't get me wrong. I love getting ready just as much as the next person does. But it is a lot of time. It's a lot of money. It's a lot upkeep. And when it comes to this, you could just find maybe you were putting too much emphasis on it prior and you can live your life in other ways without feeling like you need to look good all the time. Maybe there's just less interest around needing to be put together at every particular moment or needing to spend so much money on resources. Maybe you're just appreciating a more natural look. I will say, when it comes to South Node, it is a really spiritual transit. Honestly, it's a very spiritual point. And with South Node 1st house, you might find you are more spiritual during this time. And you can find you're more inclined to want to do things with the partner. With North Node transiting your 7th house, you can feel less inclined to want to be alone. And again, it's like an interesting mismatch, such as the journey of how your houses are placed. Like, again, you're not identifying with your relationships, but you can find during this time that you're growing a lot through your relationships, right? And through being your authentic self within your relationships and asserting yourself in the relationship, like asserting the me in me and you, right? Making it clear, these are my boundaries within this is what I want, this is who I am within the connection. But I will say you can be guided to start something with a business partner. You could start a new powerful relationship. A lot of your growth during this time could be directed by people, but it's this interesting balance around allowing your growth to be directed by people, but not tethering your identity to it, right? Growing a lot through the fated business partners and contracts and relationships who come into your orbit during this time, but also understanding what it is that you're learning about yourself in the context of the connection, not melting and losing yourself in the connection, but continuing to understand that what it is that you can build with someone else can be more powerful than what it is that you could build on your own, but not losing yourself within the context of the blended connection. And I'll be forthright, like some of you are just getting more comfortable asserting yourself. You're getting more comfortable with haters. Like 7th house is open enemies also. And so you can find with North Node Aries, you're more likely to stand up for yourself. You're more likely to stand up for others. Again, you're growing a lot through connections, but you're also not tethering your identity to them, okay? And that's the point. Like you are really being guided to release codependent connections. So again, releasing those codependent behaviors and how they come to the surface. You're being asked to prioritize your own expression, but also understand what your expression, your attributes, yourself adds to the connection. And understanding that it's better for someone to hate you for what you are than love you for what you are not is a huge theme with this transit. And to assert yourself boldly and authentically as it relates to all of your connections, your connection to your clients, things of that nature. If North Node Aries will transit the 8th house of your astrological natal chart and South Node Libra will transit the 2nd house of your natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Virgo sun, you may be a Virgo ascendant, or you might be neither. You just have some Libra in your 2nd house and some Aries in your 8th house. Either way, this reading is for you. My love, you're being asked during this time to be fearless. You are releasing your comfort zone and you are just diving headfirst into life. You are diving headfirst into life and transformation, and it makes me kind of smile because a lot of people who have this, not everybody, but a lot of you have Virgo placements, which are typically very methodical and very thoughtful, and you guys are just being guided to just live with the rawness, live with the zest that perhaps for some of you isn't typically the way that you live, right? And a lot of you are really being asked to release fear and really dive into risk within all of its ways. And I will shine out a couple different ways how this can come to the surface. One being is that you are being asked to dive into more risk as it relates to finances. You guys will have South Node transiting the 2nd house, which 2nd house is money that we earn. 8th house, where you're being asked to prioritize, is support that comes to us from others. So with North Node 8th house, there can be a gain in support that's given to us from others, such as, your spouse getting some sort of raise, such as inheritance coming to us, maybe having to fight and assert yourself to get more alimony or child support, other sort of support that comes to you. Again, the energy of Aries is asserting, so maybe you have to assert yourself within your marriage, be like, you need to go for this promotion, we need more money. Also, I just want to say, like, when it comes to 8th house, we think of it as other people's money, which is true, but I also extend it to support that comes to us in a more kind of like passive way. Like I think of 2nd house as we go, we clock in, we clock out, we sell this particular thing, we go, we clock in, we clock out. We go, we clock in, we clock out. Whereas 8th house is support that comes to us maybe in unexpected and up and down ways, but support that is given to us from the universe. So within my mind, I typically assign this house to more so like passive income, investments, retainers, commission, subscriptions, things of that nature. And with North Node Aries, those streams of income, you need to set them up for them to find you. So if you're a business owner, think about how you can multiply your time and energy, right? And with North Node Aries, you might need to assert yourself within it. And what I mean by multiplying your time and energy is finding things that are scalable. Let's say you are a dog washer. You can wash a dog for an hour, make that much money. That's great. We love that. Dogs need to get washed. But is there a way that you can transfer those skills that you could still utilize it, same time invested, right, an hour, but be able to replicate the results? So maybe it's, filming a video about how people can wash their dog, which for an hour, it's more risky. People might not watch the video. You might not get monetized on YouTube. But if it goes well, same hour invested, it could reach 100,000 people and make way more money, right? Like leveraging your time and energy like that, again, risky. North Node Aries. And it's funny, it's happening to a lot of Virgo placements because y'all, you know, are pretty methodical about things. And there can be those anxieties in the back of your head. Well, what if I spend this hour and then nobody watches it and then I'm a failure? Learn. Like with the North Node Aries, it's not saying everything that we do is going to be successful. Like you might put up that video, no one watches it, and you need to pivot. Maybe it's ebook, maybe it's something else that's a little bit more risky. You could spend that time investing it, no one buys it, but with every experience you learn. And that's what you're prioritizing. Because with this, you're prioritizing life, because this is the house of death. You're not gonna die, don't worry, you're not gonna die. But a lot of you during this transit are being asked to live with a little bit more fierceness, right? Because understanding how fleeting time is and just not wanting to have your entire time and life be dictated by making money, making sure your material needs are met. Like for some of you with South Node second house, you could be cutting out frivolous spending, just being like, I actually don't care about the appearances. I don't need people to come over to my house and be wowed with my furniture and all of this stuff. I would rather save my money and work less. Like I will say that a lot of you with South Node transit in the second house, you could just be less inclined. Like your material needs, you could just be like, I'm fine with living a more simple life, so long as I get to live a simple life with enjoyment or with deep presence. Like a lot of you, if you've just been on this moreitis where it's like more time, more money, just working, you can find with South Node second house, there's almost just like this lull where you're just like, I'm just not inclined. Like I'll take a pay cut, I'll work less. Like I'm just prioritizing other arenas of my life because I understand I can always make more money. My time is the most valuable asset. Which is why I'm really asking you to think about your time and think about ways that you can maximize your time and how money plays into that. And you know, it's a risky house, it's a risky life, right? And being able to learn and pivot and jump into new opportunities of new ways that money can reach you. And again, with this energy of assertion, you might need to sue somebody. I don't know, some people might have legal stuff and that's how more money is coming to you. You might have to handle some matters in order to get the inheritance stuff. Be open to any stream of income that is being offered to you during this time. Right? A lot of times we can get proud and not want to accept support from other people, right? Like being like, it's important for me to support myself. And it's like, oftentimes the universe is trying to bless us. So like, if someone wants to give you something nice, do something for you, accept that support. If you marry someone who's well off, allow them to support you. Like essentially with this energy, you know, unexpected streams of support could find you. Allowing yourself to assert your energy to finding a program that will fund you, finding a scholarship that will fund you, finding streams of support and how they can find you. A message for just a couple people, but I do feel that some of you are being guided to take investments for a business that you are starting. And again, initiating, asking for investments, asking for support, right? Having to be visible for your ideas and to know that you are worthy of it. And again, with South Node in the second house, prioritizing less busy work, right? Prioritizing less, I clock in at this time, clock out at this time, and prioritizing things that are like more high risk, high reward. Obviously, I want to make sure you're eating and all of those things. That's super important. But with your downtime, like beginning to think about, okay, how can I best utilize my time? So what is it that you're being asked to free up your time for, right? With North Node 8th house. With North Node Aries in the 8th house, you're being asked to live with more experience and more zest. Like some of you are moving into a major transformative experience. Some of you are going to be single during this transit or otherwise doing life alone when you used to do life with somebody else, and it's going to feel very uncomfortable perhaps. And you know, you're having to shed your comfort zone. You're learning a new way of being. You're learning your own way outside of that person and their energy. And the universe is going to show up for you in unexpected ways. So my biggest thing is like with North Node Aries, trust your instincts because the universe is going to meet you halfway. So if you're feeling a pull around, oh, I should go to this event, like follow that call. A lot of you are going to prioritize occult studies, anything taboo, anything beneath the surface. Again, you're living richly, you're living deeply, you're living with this like kind of raw zest. You're less inclined to be surrounded by things that are pretty. You're less inclined to want to be spending money on things that'll fade. You're more likely to prioritize experiences. Because I'm telling you, when you're on your no longer living bed, that bed, the last bed that you'll sleep in, you're not going to think back, oh, those shoes that I bought were so cute. Those shoes that I bought in 2014 were so cute. You're going to be thinking about the experiences, the ups, the downs, the character development. And that's sort of what it is that you are prioritizing at this time. Again, it'll be transformative. Some of you could be processing, grieving the person that you were prior. Again, you're stepping into a new era. Some of you can be prioritizing loss in many different arenas within your life. Again, no fear. I'm not saying you're going to lose anybody, but some of you can be processing processing loss. And again, that loss is making you want to live with a little bit more zest, right? Grabbing the life that you want by both hands and figuring out what it is that you want out of life with both hands. And you only get there by trial and error, my love. So live with zest. Live with intensity, embrace the ups and downs, and embrace this major transformation you guys are embarking in. If North Node in Aries will transit the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, and South Node in Libra will transit the 3rd house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Leo sun, you may be a Leo ascendant, or you might be neither. You just have some Aries in your 9th house, some Libra in your 3rd house. Wherever you fall in that, this reading is for you. So you are being asked to get out of your comfort zone and spread your wings in a big way, okay? And that might make people uncomfortable. They might be like, why do you need to travel? Just stay here with us. What do you mean? Why do you need to get your master's? Why isn't your job that you're working now good enough? Like, again, you need to take your life by the reins and make things happen for yourself. And with North Node Aries, you're being asked to chisel and excavate the life that you want and with the meaning that you want. A lot of you will be guided to travel during this time, and I'm deeply feeling solo traveling, okay? So if you've been waiting on someone, like, I want to travel, but I'm waiting for this person to get their work schedule in order, I'm waiting for someone who wants to go with me, I'm waiting to find somebody, I'm waiting to find my soulmate so I can travel with them. No, you need to solo travel. There's lots of tips that you can honor to do it by yourself. I remember in my workshop Align, which just so you guys know, I have the replay available within my link in bio if you're just curious overall about all of these transits and the year that everybody's having. But I remember someone during the Align workshop had said that they were taking the initiative to solo travel. And I thought that was so cool because it was a woman around my age, and oftentimes, you know, we're told that the world is a scary place, which it absolutely is. But I just love that fearlessness and that she was doing her research to figure out what would be safest and all of these things. Like, oftentimes we can feel ourselves bound by fear, but with North Node Aries, it's asking you to initiate, right? Take action. Some of you could be guided during this time to really initiate and take action as it relates to your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, things of that nature. You could be asked to initiate within it, maybe start a new spiritual business of some sort. Maybe you can be guided during this time to start to share some of your spiritual insights. Maybe it's controversial, honestly. Maybe people will think that you're weird. With North Node Aries, to thine own self be true. Like with South Node Libra, you are letting go of allowing your own world to be composed of other people's thoughts and opinions. Like, seriously, with South Node Libra in the 3rd house, like, you are letting go of what people say about you. And you really are just less inclined to want to tune into trauma and gossip. And maybe for some of you, you're letting go of social media. Like, I always think of this axis, and I'm like, you're prioritizing more of the forest and less of the trees. You're not prioritizing the little details of your life. You're prioritizing the big picture. What do I believe in, right? What are my values? What is my meaning? What makes me feel connected to something bigger? And for some of you, you're realizing what a time suck social media is. That'll be a message for a couple of you. Like, seriously, with South Node Libra 3rd house, I'm feeling that for some of you, you know, social media is a way for you to connect, and you might need to just connect with the right ones offline. You're being less inclined to wanting to like portray you living your life on the gram and more wanting to like live your life, going to that retreat, learning this skill. Some of you are being asked to initiate by starting a new master's program, higher learning, something of that nature, which again, like, there might be something controversial about it. Maybe your parents are like, why don't you just do the trade that you've been doing? But you're like, something within me needs to learn this, right? I need to feel connected to my big picture. Some of you are feeling guided to initiate as it relates to your spiritual studies, something of that nature, as it relates to your travel, as well as just living your life from the spiritual context. And again, releasing the clutter from your brain around this person's dating this person and this person liked your Instagram photo and like DMing with people. It's like you're just feeling a lot of clutter in your brain, and you're just like really feeling this call to want to live a life with more purpose, live a meaning-based life. And a lot of things are feeling meaningless to you. Like, you just feel like you have less time for small talk. It could just feel more and more burdensome. Like, I will just share. So this, I just got through, and I will say I didn't give up social media because I do feel like it is important as it relates to the business, but I really had to limit how often, because I'm telling you, I could probably sit there and reply to emails and reply to DMs and reply to comments all day long. And you just have to think at some point, is this a valuable usage of my energy, right? So right now, while I love chatting with people, I reserve 2 hours a week. I'm like, that's all I can give myself. Like, I love everybody, I wanna chat with everybody, but it's like, you really can't allow your entire energy to be dictated by conversing with people all day long. Like, it's not very helpful as it relates to kind of constructing and building these big picture thoughts and ideas that do feel like they're coming through you at this time. Like, again, oftentimes the brilliance that we're looking for comes when we take a moment, when we're not constantly on our phones or filling our mind up with media all of the time. Like sometimes we do need a pause from it. So some of you can be taking a break from social media, maybe creating more of a pause on it like I did. And some of you, I do feel that you are being guided at this time to write a book or publish a book or something of that nature, which again is a big picture, well thought out thing. It's like releasing Twitter and moving towards a book, right? Like third house is Twitter, ninth house is a book. It's like these big picture, well thought out thoughts, right? And releasing less around just sharing this, and prioritizing, like really wanting to attune to the meaning within your life and build something of meaning within your life. And with North Node Aries, being okay if it's not popular, if other people don't understand it, if people don't understand your book, if they don't understand your spiritual practice, if they don't understand why you're solo traveling. Like again, it's your life to live, not theirs. If the North Node in Aries transit will take place in your 10th house and the South Node in Libra transit will take place in your 4th house, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Cancer sun, you may be a Cancer rising, or you just have some Aries in your 10th house, some Libra in your 4th house. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. All right, you ready for this? Firstly, when we have nodes in angular houses, which they are for you, it's more intense. Some nodal stories and some eclipses are more intense for some people than others, and thank goodness for that, or else every single eclipse we'd all be, going through it, right? And I will let you know, you're moving into a time that is a little bit more transformative for you. This can be a time that you look back and be like, wow, a lot shifted and transformed within my world, right? So embracing that, meeting that halfway. And it makes me smile just because a lot of people who have this are Cancer placements, and Cancer is the energy of the crab. And you guys are being guided and asked to get out of your shell, my loves, okay? To get out of your shell. You're being asked to be visible, to be public, and to initiate. I'll be forthright. A lot of you are starting a business. A lot of you are starting a business or leveling up career. And again, with this energy of Aries, you have to seize it with both hands. Your dream job, your dream career, your dream business isn't going to fall in your lap. With North Node Aries, you're being asked to conquer your fears, and you're being asked to assert yourself in order to make that happen for you. You're being asked to essentially put yourself in the pathway for success to find you. So maybe at work, this is signing up for the projects that you know will get you noticed by boss. Maybe it is starting that business. Maybe it's getting more comfortable around tapping into your most fiercest self, right? Like oftentimes when it comes to business, obviously we want to be respectful, we want to be kind, we want to be compassionate when it comes to business. But for some of you, you've been letting people get away with way too much, or you haven't been asserting yourself. And when it comes to being a leader, sometimes you do have to be firm. Sometimes you have to be quote unquote mean when it comes to maintaining policy, when it comes to saying no, when it comes to delegating, right? So a lot of you are kind of releasing this energy of demonizing meanness. And again, I'm not saying be cruel. That's not what I'm saying. But for some of you, you've been letting people get away with way too much, whether it's customers or people that you work with or bosses. And with North Node Aries, it's asking for you to be a little firmer about the boundaries that are going to help you succeed. Again, you cannot make your way to CEO if you are taking on all of these projects. That's everybody else's work. You have to be comfortable with boundaries. You have to get comfortable saying yes, initiating in the projects that are going to put you in a more positive pathway. Or maybe if you're not happy in your career, it's initiating to get yourself into a career path that you do feel good about. And seriously, a lot of you are starting businesses, so the tides are with you when it relates to changing your jobs. You can expect a massive stats boost during this time if you are on social media or something of that nature. With North Node 10th house, especially around eclipses, there can be energy around more notoriety, more visibility. And the thing about more notoriety and more visibility comes more judgment. And you guys are being asked to release that, or at least release attachment to it, okay? Like, I know for me, at first, and again, my platform isn't even that big, but no matter what, if you are visible, doing anything, people are going to see you and people are going to judge you. If you're on a magazine, if you're on social media, whatever you are, people are going to judge you. On social media, it's like a direct pipeline into everybody's thoughts about you. And people have a lot of thoughts about you. And, at first I would read these comments and it would really affect my mood. And now it's like, I smile, I laugh about it, and I move on with my day because I get so many and it just stops affecting you to a certain point because it says nothing about you. Again, constructive criticism is one thing, right? Taking it as opportunity to grow, like North Node Aries does encourage trial and error, right? Trying things, seeing what feels good when it relates to business, trying different avenues and being able to pivot. Like every entrepreneur says, you have to try things multiple times, pick yourself up, continue to innovate and pivot. So again, there's a difference between constructive criticism versus you just not being someone's cup of tea, and that's fine. And what you're being guided towards during this time is to like release attachment to it, right? Release needing to over accommodate, just understanding not everybody is going to like you, and that's okay. It is not your job to make them like you, okay? And I want you to create and start your business and make your way without feeling like you need to be attached to other people's perception and perspective of you. And I'll be forthright, this business that you guys are starting or this new career path, again, the cosmos is with you for any sort of change that you want within a career, promotion, starting a new job, starting a new business, something of that nature. It's with you. Again, being willing to pivot, being willing to innovate. Like Aries is a trailblazer energy. So for a lot of you, because you have Aries in the 10th house, you are here to do something different. And it's uncomfortable to be a trailblazer. It's uncomfortable to do something that's not been done before, right? It's uncomfortable to not have a pathway around this is how you succeed. You do this and you do this and you do this. Like you have these fearless trailblazer codes embedded into your chart, right? That you are being now asked to activate. But you're gonna receive a lot of judgment. And it feels for some of you, this judgment is going to come from family. You have at least somewhat Libra in your 4th house. So for a lot of you, it was your job to be peacekeeper within your family unit. It was your job to make people happy. And, there can be energy around, why are you starting a business? Like, you're not gonna continue the family business? Or there could be energy around, why are you doing that? Why don't you do mechanical engineering like we wanted you to do? Again, you're being asked to be fearless when it comes to pursuing the career that you want and be a little selfish. Like again, people can want the best for you, but still at the end of the day, it's your life to live. When it's time to go, you're the one who has to go. So you need to make this time on earth as enjoyable as possible. You need to level up and be the leader, the business person, the artist, whatever it is that you want to do within the public eye, you're the one who needs to make that happen for yourself. And with South Node Libra 4th house, you could have to release the judgment or the approval of your loved ones. I will say some of you are letting go of any people-pleasing codependent tendencies around your family and outside of career. Like there's just this energy around feeling less inclined to want to acquiesce to everybody else's desires, what it is that they want for you, what it is that they want for your life. Some of you have been keeping the peace, and this is almost an energy around enough is enough. Like for some of you, you might be in the throes of like a codependent family thing or something of nature where it's just taking more and more of your time. And again, with North Node 10th house, you're being asked to prioritize career. It's very fertile for that. And I'm not saying, don't have balance, right? We want to make sure we have balance within our life. Can't work all the time. We need to make sure we spend time with people we love. But if there was someone who's like kind of like an energy vampire, like constantly needing things from you and taking more and more of your time, like this is sort of the energy to assert, hey, I'm actually working those days, but I would love to spend time with you next Sunday. Like being a little fiercer when it comes to our boundaries. And again, letting go of that energy of always needing to people please. Oh yeah, I'll drive 45 minutes to get you that magazine that you need today when I'm seeing you on Sunday. Like again, some of you are being asked to have firmer boundaries as it relates to in-laws, parents, family members, something of that nature, in order to prioritize your goals, right? And going after what it is that you want. I will let you know, because a lot of times this can incite fear. They're like, oh my gosh, decrease in the family house. I'm not saying you're gonna lose anyone. I will let you know, like how it manifested for me is I just literally had less time to be at home because I was working so much. You can find you're less inclined to want to stay at home. Again, the cosmos is with you as it relates to being seen, to being visible, right? Putting yourself out there in the pathway to success and being able to initiate in order to get yourself in the pathway of the dream career that you want, the dream job that you want. And again, it's not always easy. It's not going to be handed to us. Like the energy of Aries asks for advocacy, assertiveness. So embolden that, like seriously to an emotional level, like with South Node in the 4th house, like you guys are being asked to release any like harmony, people-pleasing tendencies. Seriously, I feel like for a lot of you, especially since a lot of you will be Cancers, like you guys are very empathetic and there can be energy around, wanting to make people happy, but this is energy around, I need to make myself happy first, right? I need to let go around need to make everybody else comfortable and just prioritize my own life, what it is that I'm building. If North Node Aries will transit the 11th house and South Node Libra will transit the 5th house, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Gemini sun, you may be a Gemini ascendant, or you just have some Aries in your 11th house and some Libra in your 5th house, but wherever you fall in these categories, this reading is for you. So you are being asked to assert yourself in order to get the friendships that you want, the connections that you want. Some of you, it's like this energy around, I want friendships, like when are they just gonna fall out of the sky and onto my lap? Where's the community I want? Like North Node Aries is like, you kind of have to make it happen. You kind of have to put yourself out there. You kind of have to go to those networking events or go to that socializing or put yourself out there on social media. Like it is asking for a more active approach as it relates to the friendships, whether you're craving new friends or as it relates to the friendships that are in your life. Like maybe you're someone when you're like, if they cared, they would come to me. And it's like, people are busy, like with North Node Aries, sometimes you need to be the one to initiate, hey, do you want to hang out? Hey, do you want to do this? Again, if you want connection, if you want friendship, if you want compatibility, sometimes we do have to be a little bit more assertive about it. I feel for some of you could be starting a nonprofit. Like, it's fascinating because 11th house is fortune, it's hopes and dreams, it's the future. And with the energy of Aries, you're like, okay, for me to have the future I want, and for humanity to have the future that I want, I need to take the reins. I need to start something. I need an anti-litter campaign within my community. I need to advocate for this cause. Like, some of you are really in this pathway around wanting to advocate for the causes that you want, getting into politics or getting into altruism, something of that nature. You're like, enough is enough. Like, seriously, with North Node Aries, we're being asked to grab the future that we want with both hands rather than just waiting on it to happen. Like, maybe if there's certain causes that just make you so infuriated, it just makes you so deeply upset. You're like, why are people not more upset about this? Like, again, what I said about Aries in the beginning under the sacred rage portion, I deeply recommend check that out, because where you're feeling guided is like this energy around, this makes me so mad, and that can be fuel. Like, it makes me so mad that politicians are trying to take women's rights away, and that can be used as fuel, right? To stand up. Again, not being violent, not being destructive, but finding ways to band together with like-minded souls and stand up for your rights, stand up for autonomy, whatever cause rings to you. So I want you to notice, what do you get pissed off about? What do you get angry about, right? How can you actively, build the future that you want around the people that you want, supporting the causes that you want? That won't be the story for everybody, but that will be the story for a few. For others, some of you are being guided to initiate as it relates to accruing a community of like-minded individuals. And again, you need to speak your truth. Like, with North Node Aries, you are being guided during this time to speak your truth in order to find the community. So maybe this is like allowing some of your controversial takes on TikTok and not worrying if there is some backlash. Because again, if there would be some backlash, there will be people who are like, I get you, I feel you, I understand. Like, a lot of times when it comes to things that now we're like so horrified to know this wasn't always the case, right? It took people who were radical and bold and judged to speak up and say, hey, this is messed up, right? And it took being a dissenting opinion in order to spark a new way, to trailblaze a new way. And with North Node Aries, you could be that voice around, educating people about something or speaking up about something that is more controversial in tone and attracting an audience because of it. I will say that a lot of you might be guided during this time to want to share more on social media, build a community, build an audience, something of that nature, as 11th house does ring true to those themes. And the focus is being your own authentic self within connection. So again, it's not attracting connections from this like fake phony thing around wanting to feel validated. It's being your own person, allowing that to be the magnet that draws people to you. Being honest, allowing that to be the magnet of people towards you. Sharing your vision for the future and allowing that to be the magnet of people who feel similarly to you. Again, it's a time of prioritizing connections and relationships, but not fake ones. And I will say, people will give you a lot of opportunities this year. So if you invest your time in anything, invest in people, invest in your network, invest in your colleagues, right? You might need to assert yourself, initiate, being like, hey, can you grab coffee? When you see that there's like a LinkedIn connection with someone you used to work with, a job you want to work at, like, again, you might need to initiate to like kind of foster those connections, but people will give you a lot of opportunities of where it is that you need to go. So prioritizing that. I will say what you're letting go of is certain party friends straight up. Or if you have a relationship with someone who just wants to like party all the time, just kind of like live in the moment, and you're like, I'm just feeling called to embolden my social communities. I'm just feeling called to build the future that I want. And if you're like, for some of you, whether it's friendships or relationship with people who are just kind of like living for the moment, having fun, partying, and you're just not in that headspace. So being flexible when it comes to certain connections that you're noticing, we're just not on the same page, right? And not allowing your own desires to be subdued within theirs. Like, maybe they're just constantly prioritizing, let's go out, and you have to kind of assert yourself and be like, no, I have a protest in the morning, or I started this business and I have to work tomorrow, and like allowing yourself to allow your voice to be heard within that. With South Node, 5th house, some of you, it's not that you won't be creative, but you're feeling called to put your creativity towards a bigger purpose. 5th house is the now, 11th house is the future. So a lot of you are just have your eyes on the future, future, both humanitarian causes of the future, your own personal future, and you're just less inclined to just do things just for their own sake. You're less inclined to just do things that are meant to be fun. You're less inclined to like want to be at a noisy bar and be like, what's the point of this? Like, you're just feeling called to do different things. And with North Node Aries, maybe that's unpopular. Maybe there are certain friendships who are like, hello, what do you mean? We always go to this dive bar every Friday. And it's like allowing yourself the flexibility and the grace to transform, to shift. Like again, with South Node Libra in the 5th house, your hobbies are changing. Allow them the space and the grace to change them. Allow your definition of what's fun to change. That's human nature. That's what it is that we're meant to do. Like, we're here to transform. We're here to change. So allow your definition of what's fun and what hobbies no longer serve you any longer. Allow that to transform as a result as well. And you know, certain connections could shift in regards to that. Like, your party friends might sort of change when you're no longer going out. Like the friends that you always play pickleball with, that might shift, right? Your relationship might shift if you no longer enjoy the hobbies that you enjoy with them. But again, continue to build the future that you want, and the right aligned souls will come in. And it's just releasing this energy around wanting to appease people by doing the things that they think is fun when you no longer feel resonance with that. This won't be a message for everybody. In fact, this will probably be a message for 1 or 2 people, but I just want to share that for some of you who have kids who have recently left the house, or have, you know, your empty nest or something in nature, there's just this little call. It's not that you're deprioritizing your kids, but there's just a call with North and 11th house to ensure that you are spending time with friendships, building a community of people outside of, like, you know, fellow parents and things of that nature, like reconnecting with people that you want to be around, things of that nature. So whether your kids left or your kids are still in the house, there just could be a call around wanting to prioritize your social life and reconnect with it. If Aries North Node will transit the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, and Libra South Node will transit the 6th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Taurus ascendant, a Taurus sun, or you just have some Aries in your 12th house, some Libra in your 6th house. Wherever you fall in those categories, this reading is for you. So, firstly, congratulations, because for a lot of you, you are getting out of a time where the nodal axis was in your sign. So my Taurus loves. But even if it wasn't in your sign, and it still was most likely just in your 1st house, which tends to be a little volatile, it tends to be a little up and down, very transformative, right? So congratulations, firstly, for getting to the other side of that. Now the work has shifted. For you, a lot of you are being asked to prioritize your spiritual journey and really getting comfy and fine if people don't necessarily see eye to eye or believe the same things as you. With North Node Aries in 12th house, you're being asked to kind of dive into that world with both hands. People might think it's weird. Your coworkers might think it's weird when you start wearing crystal jewelry and you start meditating after work instead of going out. Like, people might think it's odd. But again, the motto with North Node and Aries, to thine own self be true, like following where it is that your spiritual journey is taking you. And you know, I think of this axis as sort of the physical and the tangible meets the ethereal and the divine, right? And ensuring that there's a match here. You know, for a lot of you, you could have been doing all the right things as it relates to health. You've been eating right, you've been working out, things of that nature. I'm not saying stop, but ensure you're matching it with a kind and loving voice within yourself, with a spiritual connection that gives you a sense of peace, with meditation, things of that nature. That's also just as valuable portion to your well-being. For some of you who have been on a physical healing journey, it's like, yes, take the medicines, take the vitamins, all of those things, but also strive to keep yourself as peaceful as possible, make yourself feel as supported as possible, things of that nature. And when it comes to like work and things of that nature, maybe a lot of you, if you're a business owner, you work a job, maybe you're doing all the physical work, and with this kind of exploring your 12th house, it's diving into the spiritual component of it, right? So like maybe if you are a business owner, it's like ensuring that you are, you know, showing up, doing the task, but then also trusting in the universe to do its part. Like, that's been a little mantra for me lately. Like, I do my work and the universe does its, because it's true. It's like you show up with the ideal marketing, with the work, with the container, and then you just trust, like, universe, brightly aligned people to me, right? And continuing to allow your own personal vision be the anchor of that. So truly, it's this really fascinating blend, which I'm not saying don't prioritize the physical, but ensure you're matching the physical efforts of your work and of your healing journey with the spiritual dimensions, right? With the metaphysical dimensions. That is where there is this like true marriage. Some of you, you are being asked to release any people-pleasing tendencies at work. I won't lie. A lot of people, while South Node's in the 6th house, they can release a side job that they're no longer interested in. A lot of you are going to release bad boundaries that you've had with coworkers or people that you work with or things of that nature. Any like people-pleasing tendencies, anything where it's like, oh, I'll do it. Some of you can even be in codependent relationships with your coworker, maybe always needing their validation, always needing their approval. And like with North Node Aries, you're doing your own thing. And you might be feeling inclined to want to spend more time in your own bubble, and that's okay. Like with North Node Aries, it's about asserting yourself and being like, I need more solitude. Some of you can be like living alone during this transit or just spending more time alone. And again, it can be something that is deeply grounding for you. It can be something that's deeply healing for you. Some of you can be reconnecting with who it is that you are. Not all of you, but I know a lot of you went through a breakup while North Node was in your 1st house. And just with North Node 12th house, it's like, okay, without this person, who am I, right? And like diving into that and chiseling that and looking inward, as well as beginning to attune to the signs and synchronicities of how it is that you are supported. So trust your instincts. A lot of times your instincts are given to you by the universe, like whispering certain ideas or things of that nature to you. And like during this time, you can be more supported by the universe, but you have to trust, right? You're being asked to initiate, but again, the universe is going to meet you halfway. You're going to be asked to take action on these ideas that come to you, but the universe will be feeding them to you, right? And when it comes to any sort of woo-woo, so supported, dream interpretation, connection to the other side, again, you might have to take more of an active role in it with North Node Aries, actively seeking out the information, seeking out mentors, seeking out skills, right? And like for some of you, I know this won't be a message for everybody, but I'm feeling strongly for a couple of you, you've been waiting for your like intuitive gifts to come to the surface, just like waiting and waiting and waiting. Again, with North Node Aries, you're being asked to kind of like grab it with 2 hands, like being like, okay, I'm sick of like waiting for myself to be psychic. Like there are classes, there are ways to chisel those intuitive abilities. Everybody has a way that they are able to tune in. Again, some people, some charts are more predisposed than others, but it's always the muscle that you can work, right? So with North Node Aries, go work in the spiritual gym, right? It's a muscle to be worked. It takes meditation, it takes discipline, it takes chiseling these skills. And if some of you have been waiting for your intuitive abilities to kind of come to the surface, they're going to enliven this amazing transit to be like, okay, I need to prioritize this because life is not going to prioritize it for me. And a lot of you with South Node, Libra in the 6th house, you are just always busy, acquiescing for everybody, taking care of everybody, being everybody for everybody. Like a lot of you are the first to volunteer when it comes to, PTA or helping this person move, or your schedule is always very busy, whether it comes to your working schedule, your errands, there's just always a lot on your plate. And with North Node 12th house, you're being asked to be fierce in order to be soft, okay? You're being asked to be fierce when it comes to your nose. Can't do that, won't take on that project. Again, some of you could be letting go of a side job or letting go of working that much in order to prioritize things that are sacred to you. People might not understand. They're like, what do you mean you can't carpool every single day? Like you always are. And like with North Node Aries, it's like, taking the reins to understand, like I can't be everything for all of these people and be enough for me too. And sometimes I have to be fierce in order to have this space and have this time to spiritually connect, right? To have this time to devote to my spiritual healing, to devote to my spiritual connection, things of that nature. And again, a lot of you are just not demonizing solitude during this time. Like you're understanding that it's better to be alone than to have to be fake and phony for other people to like you. Like again, I'm not saying you're gonna be like alone the entirety, but you're getting comfy with being alone. You're getting comfy with doing your own thing and finding your own space in your own time to be spiritually renewing and spiritually restful. So my loves, what are you looking forward to about this transit, about the houses that it's going through? I think it's such a fascinating story around where it is that we're being asked to grab life by the horns, right? Jump in feet first in order to prioritize our own individuality, our own advocacy, our own authenticity. I think it's going to be beautiful just how raw and direct this transit is, how we're really going to shift from wanting to live a life that is wealthy in experiences rather than allowing our own work to be dictated by being liked and accepted by other people. I think we're moving into this era around everybody just kind of embracing their own unique spark, trusting their instincts, understanding your chart, your glow, your essence. While there's always arenas that we can work on and chisel and things of that nature, like you are a work of art. And rather than feeling like you have to tame and dull and control certain parts of your personality, there's just this freeing sensation around being able to embolden the person that we are, quirks and weirdness in all, and allowing the fire of our soul, the fire of our raw expression, to be magnetizing to the situations, people, places, and experiences that are the best for our growth and for our own discovery. So my loves, my Instagram handle is @HaleyComet_Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. Thank you again, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring this video and for the stunning jewelry. I'll make sure it's all linked within the comments. Make sure to use code HaleyComet20 and with North Node Aries, like, follow your desires, make your desires known, buy yourself the jewelry. You don't have to wait on anybody to buy it for you, or if you want, buy it for a loved one or anything of that nature. But I just love having this extra sparkle in my day, and especially with the extra meaning and intention that I've infused into the pieces that I've chosen. Just makes me feel so special, makes me feel so confident, which is going to be so supportive during this North Node Aries transit. So until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.